The task team will include provincial and national experts that will work around the clock to pursue all investigative and intelligence lead, including the tracing of a Toyota Quantum that was allegedly linked to this specific incident.
The stench of death still hangs over this community. Blood-stained pathways, abandoned homes, and palpable fear are the lasting reminders of a brutal attack that has left residents shocked and traumatized. For many who survived the gunfire, the horror of last night will linger long after investigators leave the scene. Or see Kwana Malingamnisi Eyewitness News in Cleveland.
The National Consumer Commission has announced yet another vehicle recall, this time affecting some Hino 700 series trucks. According to the supplier, the issue relates to the vehicle's fuel pump housing, which had an inappropriate surface treatment process done during production. Toyota South Africa Motors says as a result, cracks may develop when repeated high load is applied to the supply pump, resulting in a fuel leak. The NCC says the affected vehicles were sold nationally through authorized Toyota dealerships between 10 September 2024 and 10 December of the same year. Head of Complaints and Investigations, Prudence Moilwa.
Consumers or drivers of these affected vehicles are urged to visit their nearest authorized Toyota dealerships to arrange for an inspection and repairs, where a new fuel pump will be fitted to the affected truck. All inspections and corrective work relating to the recall will be carried out at no cost to the drivers or to the consumers.
Commercial tenants in the Joburg inner city owe more than 3 million rand in unpaid rent to the Joburg Social Housing Company. The revelation comes as Human Settlements MMC Mlungisi Mabaso leads an operation targeting businesses operating from Joshko-owned buildings. The campaign forms part of efforts to protect municipal revenue and to crack down on illegal occupation. Mongezi Gogo reports.
Several shops have been locked and their leases terminated as officials move to recover outstanding debt. Some business owners have pleaded for more time to settle their accounts, but the city says it can no longer afford to tolerate months of non-compliance. Human Settlements MMC Mlungisi Mabaso says a handful of tenants account for millions of rand in unpaid rent.
Most of the shops in our commercial spaces are not paying. This one is owing 500,000. There's another one that is owing 800,000, but combined it exceeds 3 million.
Officials say the operation will continue across the inner city as the city steps up efforts to recover money owed to Joshko. Mongezi Gogo, Eyewitness News.
A senior Hawks officer has been grilled about his presence at the scene of a major drug bust in 2021. Witness I, who is testifying partly in camera at the Madlanga Commission today, is presenting evidence on the drug bust in the south of Joburg, where more than 700 kilograms of cocaine was seized. The cocaine was amongst other large consignments believed to have come through the Durban harbour from North and South American countries. Alfa Ramashwana reports.
Witness I has told the Madlanga Commission that in 2020, his colleague, known only as Sergeant Masoma, opened an inquiry into an individual from Pretoria North who was involved in dealing and transporting narcotics. A year later, Masoma received a tip-off of about 23 bags of cocaine concealed in a truck traveling from Durban to Pretoria North. Witness I testified that he went to Ayrton in Johannesburg where the drug bust took place, despite not having verified whether the consignment was linked to their investigation. However, evidence presented before the commission shows that the two cases were unrelated. The commission's chairperson, Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga, has grilled Witness I on why he was at the scene of the drug bust.
And yet it's clear from the facts that what you were investigating already had nothing to do whatsoever with the drug bust at Ayrton. You may have gotten information from the same source, but that doesn't make the two the same.
Witness I's testimony continues. Alfa Ramashwana, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
And in the UK, anti-immigration protesters have forced the suspension of all Translink bus and rail services across Northern Ireland. The protesters torched buildings and vehicles in the capital a day after a knife attack in Belfast. The attack comes at a time of heightened tensions in the United Kingdom following the murder of a student who was handcuffed by police as he lay dying from stab wounds. According to reports, his killer had falsely alleged a racist attack. Translink says it hopes services can resume tomorrow. Well, gold is trading at $4,169.28 an ounce. The rand is at 16.58 to the dollar, 22.16 to the pound, 19.13 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $91.54 a barrel.
In the traffic, if you're traveling on the M1 South, there has been an accident just after Empire Road, and it is causing slow-moving traffic from Killarney Bends. And look out for faulty traffic lights in Edenvale at Modderfontein and Van Riebeek.
In your sport, Ruben van Heerden replaces Salman Murat in the Springbok squad. Thomas Tuchel praises Harry Kane, who's looking to lead England to World Cup glory. And Proteas women switch their focus to their T20 World Cup opener against Australia.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 17 and 19 degrees. The top story in EWN, Acting Police Commissioner Buleng Dimpane has authorized the deployment of additional specialized resources to support the investigation into the Cleveland mass shooting.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
We're calling on Joburg to walk the inner city with us. In 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It's 8 minutes past 3 on Wednesday, the 10th of June. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you are listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. Hope your week has been good so far. A day of trauma and tragedy in Cleveland on the southeast side of Joburg. 10 murderers went on a killing spree last night in the Jumpers informal settlement, claiming the lives so far of 12 people. Our reporter Nkosikona Malinga Mnisi is on the scene. He joins us shortly. Later in the show, we'll look at what might be behind this atrocity. There have been suggestions that conflicts over illegal mining might be involved. More on that later. South Africa has been battling tuberculosis for years, with some gains and some setbacks. The 9th SA TB conference is currently underway, taking stock of the key medical, social, and scientific issues. What's been learned so far? More on that after 4. And running the Comrades Marathon is tough enough, but how about running 2 of them? At 10 to 4, we'll meet someone who will mark his finishing of the up run sometime on Sunday by turning around and running all the way back to Durban, all in a good cause. That story, I'm really looking forward to hearing about that. And speaking of Comrades, by the way, let us know how your training's going. If you're running it for the first time, tell us what you are thinking in anticipation of this monumental challenge. And as always, we'll have music for you at around 20 to 6. If you are planning a wedding, well, you've got to think about the wedding song, don't you? Is it Malika? Is it Jonas Gwangwa? Is it Brenda Fassie? What for you is the South African song that you absolutely have to have at a wedding, whether it's yours or somebody else's? Start sending us your suggestions, please, on 072 702 1702. On the markets, the JSE is taking a hammering today, down by 1,760 points, with the resource index down by 4.6%. Rough day for the Rand too. Implats is weaker by 7.5%. Coronation down by 6.5%. And Anglo Gold is weaker by 6.4%. Some upside on the market, but of course that's tied to other problems. Sasol is up by 2.3%, which means fuel, of course, oil is up. British American tobacco by 2.2%. We Buy Cars has gained almost 2%. The rand is trading at 16 rand 58 against the dollar, 13 cents weaker than this time yesterday. A euro will cost you 19 rand 14. That's a 10-cent fall, and 22 rand 20 will get you a pound. That's a 15-cent weakening of the rand over the past 24 hours against sterling. Gold price is tumbling. How else do you describe a fall of $116.87 an ounce? Tumbling might be a little bit mild, actually, if you think about it. And platinum is weaker by $62.82. No good news there either. Oil price is up by $1.87, currently trading at $93.09 a barrel. Almost said an ounce. That would be problematic. Muteo Khwaripe joins us with all the market news at 4:25. We'll get sport with Tola Kele Mganga. Khomotso Munyai has the traffic news that's coming up in just a moment. And Mbali Dlamini joins us at 3:30 with the latest news headlines. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live. If it's happening in 702 land, you will hear about it here first. But if you hear about it before we do, as I always say, please do give us a call on 011 883 0702. Perhaps you know something about what happened out in Cleveland in the Jumpers informal settlement. Perhaps you have a business in that area and have watched tensions build and problems start to manifest. Or you may know of a story that we haven't covered at all. Either way, those numbers again, 072 702 1702, or you can give us a ring on 011 883 0702. It's 13 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
We were talking about shopping a little bit earlier today before we get into all the serious stuff of the day. And I was wondering, is there a particular article of clothing that you especially save money for? The conversation came up in regard to one of my colleagues' pair of shoes. And the question then became, well, what is the one thing that you're always willing to spend a good chunk of cash on? Is it perhaps shoes?
Hey, I put some new shoes on and suddenly everything's right. I said, hey, I put some new shoes on and everybody's smiling. It's so inviting. No short on money, but long on time. Slowly strolling in the sweet sunshine, and I'm running late and I don't need an excuse.
Very clear what Paolo Nutini got his from his brand new pair of shoes. But yeah, where do you put your money aside and what do you spend it on? Khomotso, how about you? Shoes, jackets?
Do you see me thinking about it? I was going to say shoes.
Yes.
But I'll be a little bit more personal. I think it has to be pajamas and a bra for me.
Okay.
Those things, I'm all about comfort. So, yeah, I have to make sure that...
So you'll spend more on those than other people might spend. In other words, there's way cheaper ways of buying that stuff.
Absolutely.
Off to one side. I've got the money saved up. I'm going to spend it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, you know, because people don't see pajamas, they probably don't think it's not necessary for you to spend as much money. But, I want to make sure that when I sleep and I dream in comfort, you know?
Okay, well, there you go. So we got pajamas. We've got your shoes. Tadiso Twala is producing today's show with Keta and Kize. Tadiso, where does your big money go?
Shoes and bags.
Oh, I forgot about bags.
Okay. Sneakers. Yeah. For some reason, I've just fallen in love with colorful sneakers. I'm not a sneaker person, but colorful sneakers are my thing now. So every time I see a nice colorful sneaker, I can't resist. And then, of course, bags. You know, women with bags, we need our bags to just put everything in. You want a small one for a date, a must, and then a big one that has all your essentials in, you know. So yeah, those are my two big spenders.
That's a good one.
I saw a very,
no compromise.
Speaking of shoes and bags, I saw a funny thing I think it was on Facebook, where someone said, if my wife keeps asking me to hold her bag while she's shopping, can she at least choose a bag that goes with my shoes? Doesn't always work that way, I guess. So what do you spend your big money on? Clothing wise, give us a call on 011 883 0702. Still to come a little bit later on the show, we're going to be looking, speaking of bags, at the way in which, remember there was that levy for plastic bags. Where's that money gone? And crucially, what should we be prioritizing now? Is the recycling of those plastic shopping bags a real contribution to the environment, or have we massively overestimated what that might achieve in terms of leading us to a greener planet. That story later on 702 Drive at 16 minutes past 3.
EWN Traffic.
Right, let's find out what's going out on the roads. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by GWM, class-leading vehicles that help you navigate your journey. Let's find out from Khumotso exactly what's happening. Good afternoon.
Thank you, John. We'll start in Braamfontein. There's been an accident on the M1 South. It is just after Empire Road and it is causing slow-moving traffic from Killarney Bins. Over in Benoni, there's also been an accident on the N12 East and it's causing slight delays. This is as you approach Snake Road. Also look out for faulty traffic lights and four-ways at Cedar and Witkoppen, and four-ways at Monte Casino and Winnie Mandela, as well as in Woodmead at Woodmead Drive and Woodlands. I'll have more updates in just a bit.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Another fuel hike means more adjustments, like using every loyalty point just to get by.
Okay, use the points first, then this voucher. Wait, I have a coupon on my app for the bread. And then I'll swipe the remaining R2, please.
Don't let the fuel hikes restrict you. Get 5,000 Rand for fuel when you buy any GWM vehicle this month. Visit your nearest dealership or go to gwm.co.za to book a test drive. T's and C's apply. GWM. Go with more.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
In August 2021, in exchanges that potentially implicated Malema in tender rigging, we're now seeing Said forwarding to Khan the details of a company which had bid for the police fleet management tender, and we know what that company has been involved in. That's also something that was a bit jaw-dropping for me.
You know, it comes on top of that previous evidence that the Madlanga Commission heard in relation to Tshwane, that there was this interaction between city officials about wanting to check with Juju CIC that certain individuals that were claiming security companies had the support of the EFF, or they wanted certain people to get these tenders. This doesn't come out of the blue.
Karen Moore, a journalist with Media 24.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Everyone gets insurance for the moment something goes wrong, and when it does, you need the peace of mind of knowing your claim will be handled fairly. OUTsurance keeps outperforming. The Ombudsman, an independent body that rules on complaints, confirmed in their 2025 annual report that OUTsurance had the lowest overturned ratio of complaints received. Why would you want to be insured with anyone else then? Get a quote and switch today. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
What is special about this year's 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is that it returns to where Walk the Talk all started, where we'll be walking in the inner city, celebrating the resurgence of the city of Johannesburg and celebrating the people who make it special. You should take part in this year's 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk because there's so much good stuff happening in the city of Johannesburg. The city is having a moment, and it's thanks to people and organizations who never stopped believing in the power and the magic of the city. So this year, I can't wait to be at the start of this momentous 702 Walk the Talk. I haven't been to Ellis Park in many, many years. So while I might not see you on the route, I'll definitely be at the beginning to see you off as you begin your journey through the inner city. To enter the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, go to primemediaplus.com and we'll see you there on the 26th of July.
Get ready to take the reins. The spotlight shifts to the 2026 Hollywood Bets Durban July in our thrilling Season of Champions competition. Bet 50 Rand or more on horse racing online or at your nearest Hollywood Bets branch for your chance to take home a share of 2.5 million Rand in cash and prizes. Are you ready to embrace the country allure experience? Bet now and join the race for champion status. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
What if the problem you faced became the business that changed everything? That's what Nedbank Business Ignite on 702 is all about, with this year's theme, My Pain, My Purpose, My Solution. We're calling on small businesses that turned real challenges into powerful ideas. You could win 200,000 Rand in cash, plus mentorship, business support, and tools to help you grow sustainably. Enter the Nedbank Business Ignite on 702, now at primemediaplus.com or igniteyourbusiness.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
This Youth Month, 702 Drive with John Perlman
commemorates the youth of 1976.
Let's walk the talk.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
702 Drive. Well, let's focus on a terrible, terrible tragedy in the city of Johannesburg on the southeast side in the area of Cleveland, the Jumpers informal settlement. A mass shooting last night. 12 people dead so far. What we know is that sometime late last night, a group of 10 armed men allegedly traveling in a Toyota Quantum moved into the settlement and opened fire on residents. Our EWN colleague in Nkosi Corner, Malinga Mnisi, has been out in the area today talking to people and trying to get a sense of what's going on. Before we focus, Nkosi Corner, and good afternoon to you, before we focus on what the police are saying, what we might know about the background to these killings, this must be a community in a state of terrible shock. You would have spoken to people and presumably engaged with people without them saying anything, but you probably got a strong sense. How are people, coping, if indeed they are coping at all? Because I'm not sure that many of them would be.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, John. Thanks for having me, and good afternoon to the listeners as well. I think how best I respond to this is reflecting on what one particular resident told me as we exited the community this afternoon, and she said, please arrange psychosocial support and help for us. Yeah. And I think for me that really captures what this community is currently grappling with. It's not a first that they've experienced violence in the area, in the informal settlement, but it's a first in terms of the magnitude of what we got wind of this morning. And when my colleague, in fact, informed me about this as I was sitting at my desk this morning, I could not believe that 12 people were gunned down just like that. For me, just so strange. It really was.
Yeah, and I've obviously haven't been there, and you have, and I would have seen pictures from television. People living very, very close together, narrow. You couldn't call them streets really. They're almost like corridors between one set of houses and another. Presumably, everybody would have been affected, even if the shooting didn't come to the specific place where they live, but no way of escaping either the noise and the horror.
Absolutely, John. And just to paint our listeners a picture, you've got 2 entry points to the informal settlement, and the one entry point is actually gated, right? Okay. And what we're told by the police is that these alleged assailants came from both ends. So they were dropped off by this Toyota Quantum at a nearby petrol station. In fact, it's just adjacent the settlement, and then they spread out in essence. So indeed, for these community members, there was no way of escaping. But when we got there, we had the opportunity, and I really use this word loosely, but to sort of navigate through the informal settlement,
Right.
and you just couldn't miss the bodies. But some of the bodies, were laying next to alcohol, so it seems as if people were enjoying themselves late in the evening, but there was no way of anyone in that settlement, given just how closely built the structures are, could escape hearing. One old lady told me it sounded like very squeaky fireworks, speaking to what police have now confirmed, that they believe rifles were used in committing this crime.
Is it fair to conclude, or would it be too early in Kosikona, that the victims were chosen at random? In other words, this was an attack on a community. It wasn't a targeted attack on a specific group of people. This was to create maximum terror.
So this is where it gets interesting, John, because the area is surrounded by known illegal mining sites.
Mm-hmm.
And the police boss in Gauteng, Tommy Mtomeni, having visited the area, said, we concede that we know that this is an element at play in this community, albeit we have not made a definite link between the incident and illegal mining. But they also confiscated, the police, this is some equipment linked to illegal mining. So what we then hear from residents, and there was one who spoke to us on record, of course on condition of anonymity because they are fearing for their lives,
Yes.
is that this is definitely linked to illegal mining. And she in fact suggests that the fight or the conflict stemmed from where these so-called zamazamas go and dig for gold. And it essentially, the conflict then transcended into the community, and this is when they then saw this shootout take place. So in as much as it seems as if, well, at least from the community's account, there were people that were just caught in the crossfire. They had nothing to do with this.
Yes.
It seemed as if the group was retaliating or trying to send a message to a certain group of people, but they ended up just going about it randomly, really. And anyone, I suppose, who came in their way was then caught up in the crossfire. And of course, as we now know, 12 people losing their lives. And now what we know is 10 people having suffered injuries. Interesting enough, the last victim who was wounded was only discovered as the police boss was making his way through the community, and they saw him limping. He had suffered an injury somewhere around his leg, and then they got him some medical attention.
Kosikona, are there many children in the community? Because I don't know. Difficult as it must be for all the adults there, and deeply traumatic. I can only imagine the implications for children. Some of them would have lost family members, guardians, parents, whatever they were. But their sense of vulnerability must be even more.
Absolutely, John. And just before I really get into answering your question directly, it seems as if some of the victims were people that were even visiting the area. They are not necessarily residents there. And it speaks to just how unfortunate it is that some of them really had nothing to do with whatever this group had come there for. But what was so saddening for me, and this is why I posed this question to the provincial commissioner, was how long the bodies were left to lie there.
Yes.
Right? This is something that happened before midnight. Only at around 9 o'clock did forensic pathologists arrive on the scene to start processing the bodies and then subsequently collecting them. So the children themselves were exposed to seeing these bodies in the community, and just, you can only imagine how terrifying and traumatizing.
Absolutely.
And some of them are so young, they can't even make sense of what is happening. So the impact is real, and I think there's a lot of social support that is needed to, be navigated towards that community. Of course, police, from national level, this catching their attention, they make commitments once again, but I think we need to deal with the soul of that community.
Yes.
And this is why I said to the provincial commissioner, you're here now, but the fact of the matter is you're going to leave, and this community feels naked in the sense that they're absolutely vulnerable and they do not know then what will come next, John.
Thank you so much. Nkosikona Malinga Mnisi out in the Jumpers Informal Settlement in the Cleveland area today, just sharing with us thoughts about what he's seen. 072-702-1702 if you have some ideas about what might have happened there and what could have been done to prevent it. Let's get the latest eyewitness news. Bali Dlamini, a very good afternoon to you.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Mineral Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe has warned the fuel sector against illegal fuel price hikes and fuel tampering. Mantashe says the practices are eroding consumer trust and damaging the industry's reputation. He has been addressing the Fossil Industry Association of South Africa's Imbizo in Sandton today. Mantashe says government remains concerned about incidents where some fuel operators increased prices before official fuel price adjustments took effect. Nimakatso Leshoro reports.
Gwede Mantashe's comments come on the back of growing concerns over illegal tampering with diesel, including the mixing of diesel with paraffin to boost profits. Diesel prices are largely deregulated, creating opportunities for some suppliers to withhold stock ahead of expected price increases or charge excessive prices to maximize profits. Mantashe says the practice is criminal, harms businesses and consumers, damages vehicles and equipment, and poses a risk to the economy. One wholesaler attending the fuel industry in Imbizo, Tepo Fagude, agrees.
It does affect us because if we do provide diesel that's contaminated, then it gives us a bad reputation as a company.
Mantashe says government is working with law enforcement agencies to combat the illegal trade. Timakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
Members of Parliament have continued their scrutiny of the investigation into the theft of US dollars from President Cyril Ramaphosa's Palapala farm in 2020, accusing the police of a cover-up. Members of Parliament's Police Portfolio Committee have also accused the SAPS of whitewashing the Palapala investigation conducted by police watchdog IPID. IPID found that the head of the Presidential Protection Service, Wally Rueda, acted improperly when he conducted a rogue investigation into the theft. Babalondenze reports.
The Portfolio Committee has raised concerns about the police's responses, particularly its not guilty findings in its investigation into Wally Rueda and others. But the IPID found that there was no evidence uncovered during the investigation that Rueda got instruction from elsewhere, including from President Cyril Ramaphosa. Committee member Diane Kohler-Barnard accused the SAPS of not taking IPID seriously.
There is an opinion that the SAPS whitewashes certain cases against their own members, and for years, since indeed back in 2014, we were raising issues.
ACDP leader Kenneth Meshwe raised concerns about why Rueda refused to answer certain questions.
Now, if a member of the public who is a suspect refuses to give information, do the police let that member go?
Acting Police Commissioner Buleng Dimpane assured the committee that the IPID recommendations are taken seriously and they did not whitewash any of the findings. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And Bill Gates is expected to be interviewed by a congressional committee today about his past association with the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The co-founder of Microsoft is appearing voluntarily in Washington today. Gates' connection to Epstein came to wider public attention after the U.S. Department of Justice recently published more than 3 million pages of documents linked to Epstein's criminal investigation. According to reports, the interview will take place behind closed doors and will not be videotaped, although the transcript is expected to be publicly released. A fine Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, lows of between 4 and 6 degrees and highs of between 19 and 20.
In the traffic, there's still that accident on the M1 South causing slight delays just after Empire Road from Killarney Bins. And if you're heading towards Benoni, there's also an accident on the N12 East causing heavy delays from Snake Road.
The top story in EWN, Mineral Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe has warned the fuel sector against illegal fuel price hikes as well as fuel tampering.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
These visa restrictions, we saw our best referee from the continent being told, no, sorry, you can't come in. CAF, as far as I know, have said nothing about it, and neither have FIFA. I mean, we always thought FIFA, when you host their tournament, they come and take over. It doesn't seem to be the case this time.
And he was going to be the first referee from his country to officiate at a World Cup.
Well, it also depends which country you're from. I mean, we've heard of fans from countries like Scotland battling in terms of visas. Ticket prices has been an issue. Travel costs has been another. Do you get the sense that maybe once the football starts, things could get exciting, but that generally most people, most fans around the world have a wait-and-see attitude.
Yeah, I mean, I think a part of it, yes, but for now it's not there. It's been quite a hollow build-up to the World Cup, I must say.
Let's hope it's not a hollow tournament. Yanga Sibemba, sports journalist.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9
on 702.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra returns for the second week of the Winter Symphony season on Thursday, the 11th of June. Under the baton of conductor Alexandra Arieke, celebrated Italian pianist Federico Colli takes center stage in a performance of Schumann's Piano Concerto. The season concerts feature exhilarating performances every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. at the Linda Auditorium until 25 June. Tickets available at Quicket.
John, have you seen? Filing season dates have been announced.
I did, and I can't wait to be done.
Well, for now, all you need to do is log on to e-filing or the SARS Mobi app. Update your personal and banking details, then check and note your filing dates. That's it.
Make tax matters your priority number one. Unlock the power of done. Go to sars.gov.za. SARS, at your service.
We could tell you we're the best bank in Africa, but if you're a CEO or CFO looking to scale, you'll want the numbers. Like that 350 of Africa's corporates bank with us, that 80% of its billion-dollar corporates trust us with their business, and that our systems process 300 million rand a minute. That's 430 billion rand every day. Grow with the bank that does big numbers. Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
On Sunday, 26 July, the entire city unites for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk.
Walk the Talk.
And because Joburg is more than just a city, we'll be walking for the people. So join us and help make a difference to homelessness in the city by entering on primemediaplus.com and donating vouchers.
Donate a voucher.
Which is a cashless way to give, helping people experiencing homelessness access a hot shower, a meal, a bed, or more support. Anybody can join and everybody can donate. 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Enter and donate now on primemediaplus.com.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John. 12 people shot dead in Cleveland. I keep hearing about Ubuntu. I don't think there is such a thing as Ubuntu, because in this country, up to 89 people are murdered every day. Where is the Ubuntu I keep hearing about? It's murder, murder, murder. Nicholas, Florida.
Good afternoon, Tate John and the fellow listeners. I mean, intelligence, where is intelligence in such instances? 12 people gunned down, and then now everybody's just having this myopic investigation mentality and calling it, oh no, it's a Zamazama thing, it's illegal mining. No, something is going on here, and we are dealing with foreigners that are refusing to leave this country. So some of them are going to retaliate. There's so much organized crime in this country, but we have intelligence that doesn't have a cooking clue what is going on. They are busy explaining. You don't even understand what is it that they are explaining, because the moment you come and explain something, that means you don't know what is going on and you don't understand what your job is.
Yeah, lots of strong feelings about this. I don't believe the fact that there is murder and these things happen, and they happen all too often. And when they happen, they're terrible. Does that then invalidate everything that people do out of kindness and goodness and a sense of Ubuntu in South Africa? I don't think that means that something completely disappears. I think things are challenged and they're sometimes under threat, and more often than not, we manage to find ways to actually treat each other really well. And I'm not in any way suggesting that the one invalidates the other, but to suggest that that means we no longer care for each other in the ways framed by the concept of Ubuntu, I think is a massive overstatement. 20-4.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele Springbok squad having to deal with all kinds of injuries. A few decisions have just been made. Tell us about them. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. Well, Ruben van Heerden has been called up to the Boks squad and will join the team in Joburg tonight. That's as they continue their preparations for their season opener against the Barbarians next Saturday. The former junior Springbok lock will replace Salman Morat, who's been released from camp due to injury. Pepsi Buthelezi and Kalu Saidi, who were called up to the squad on Monday, have already reported for duty. Switching over to the FIFA World Cup, where Thomas Tuchel has heaped praise on the leadership of Harry Kane. That's ahead of their tournament opener against Croatia. Kane carried the burden of expectations placed on the team in what will be his third World Cup. This follows a golden shoe campaign as he finished as Europe's top goal scorer, having netted 36 times in 31 appearances as Bayern Munich secured a 34th Bundesliga title.
He's in a sweet spot of his career, quite late, but he is. He's just lean, he's sharp, he's fully focused, he's in top shape. The last 2 seasons, the success he had and the influence he had with Bayern Munich, the intensity they played at Bayern, just helped him to reach this level of his personal potential. He thinks day in, day out about how we can win as a team, how we can perform as a team. That makes him very special.
Chloe Tryon says the Proteas women will need to play with conviction at the T20 World Cup. That's after they wrapped up their preparations with a last over defeat to New Zealand. They have little time to dwell on that 5-wicket loss as they're now 3 days away from their tournament opener against 6-time T20 World Cup champions Australia.
That's just the thinking we're going to have, going in a World Cup. Whether we're a couple of wickets down or we start off really well, it's just about making sure we can have that complete performance where everyone comes in really good intent with the bat. But I still think that there's still a couple of areas, I think, especially with the bowling, probably just lost a little bit in the middle and try to pull it back at the back end. Felt it was a little bit too late, but those are lessons that we can learn. I still think that the bowlers can bounce back pretty quickly, but had good plans, just probably just didn't execute the way we wanted to.
And England captain Ben Stokes is reportedly considering his leadership future following his involvement in a nightclub incident that has prompted an investigation by the ECB. On Monday, Stokes and fast bowler Gus Atkinson were placed under investigation after a nightclub incident that involved Saracens players. ESPN Crick Info is claiming that Stokes will meet with his advisors today to decide on his future, with England due to take on New Zealand in the second game of their 3-match test series from June 17th. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 17 minutes to 4, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Plumlink, your local plumbing store. Visit plumlink.co.za to find your nearest store. Let's get the latest now from Khumotso Munyai.
Thank you, John. We'll stay with Parktown. If you're traveling around that area, traffic remains sluggish on the M1 South. This is due to that earlier accident just before Empire Road. If you are heading towards Benoni, there is an accident on the N12 East and it continues to cause heavy delays, with delays now stretching from Tom Jones Road to Putfontein Road. So a little bit of patience there, please, if you use that direction. Also look out for 40 traffic lights in Kyalami at the R55 in Kenilworth, in Rand Park Ridge at the N1 North in Bay Nodia, as well as in Fourways at Cedar and Witkopen. I'll have more updates at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
South Africa, it's time to turn up the heat. Plumlink is bringing you the Mzansi warm-up with reduced prices on quick-cart geysers. Choose from 100 and 150-litre geysers, reliable, powerful, and built to keep your home piping hot this winter. With over 160 stores nationwide, there's a Plumlink near you. Get yours now for just $4,799, limited time only. Hot water, hot deals, don't miss out.
Plumlink, your local plumbing store.
This Youth Month, 702 Drive with John Perlman
commemorates the youth of 1976.
Let's walk the talk.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
702 Drive, it's 4:45. Good to have you with us on the show. Coming up in a moment, we're going to be talking to somebody who's going to run the Comrades Marathon on Sunday. Well, you might say, so many other people, except he's going to do it twice. He's going to run all the way up to Pietermaritzburg. He's going to run all the way down back to Durban. I know you probably have to get back to Durban. There are other ways of doing it, but this particular athlete is doing it for a cause. We're going to talk to him about the run and, crucially, about why he's doing it. Mental health very much front and center of his intentions in this regard. Yeah, so looking forward to that. But Tolakele, before that, we were just talking about clothes and whether there's a particular item of clothing where you are willing to spend a whole lot more. So you'll say, pair of jeans, nah, this is what I'm prepared to spend. But maybe a jacket or whatever, that's the one thing that you're going to save up for and splash out on.
I will spend as much money as I need for football or sports merchandise that I like, because it's also, you can support a team here and you must also support them financially.
Oh,
because
really?
you just watching them on TV, it's not enough. They need my money to make that Kylian Mbappe transfer come true. That's how I justified it in my head.
So I do remember once a sponsor coming in and supporting a team I like, and the sponsor made hi-fis, and I was in a hi-fi shop because I needed and I thought, okay, well, they putting money into my pleasures. It wasn't very good hi-fi, I have to say.
John,
but
how
anyway,
dare you?
it was fine. It was fine. I didn't spend that much money on it. Okay, so sports memorabilia
and sneakers.
And sneakers. That's the big bucks for you.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's hear from other people. Give us a ring on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Somebody says, see the etymology of the word Ubuntu directs at collective consciousness and not the other way around. Please teach the listeners. Can I just say to the person who sent that, I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. So can you send a bit more? Just give me some details. I'm very happy to join you in creating clarity and a deeper understanding, but that would depend on me understanding. Let me read it again. Etymology Ubuntu directs at collective consciousness and not the other way around. Please teach the listeners. Okay, help me with that if somebody else can weigh in on that. I do want to better understand that, but at the moment I feel like I'm at the start line and I'm actually looking for one of my shoes. So right at the beginning. 702 Drive. Let's get into something else to do with start lines.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So Sunday is the Comrades Marathon. I always like in the build-up to Comrades to hear about you and your preparations, how things are going. Particularly keen to hear from people who are running it for the first time, or maybe it's a landmark run. Maybe this is your 10th or even more than that. I have never run the race. I have to be honest, not on my bucket list, but I have boundless admiration for people who run Comrades. And I have particular fascination and admiration for somebody who on Sunday is planning not just to run all the way up to Pietermaritzburg, but to run all the way down again to Durban. Why is he doing it? Let's welcome long-distance runner and member of the Pirates Running Club, Donovan Shirley. Thanks so much for your time. You have made running long distances a great and particular passion. But before we talk about this run, tell us why you're attempting this particular feat, because you've got a purpose in mind and it goes just beyond endurance. Good afternoon to you.
Hi, John. Nice to talk to you. Nice to talk to the listeners. It's been a bit of an interesting journey these last couple of weeks and these last couple of months. I've learned so much about running, about myself, about the Comrades Marathon itself, and I'm so glad I'm actually being able to start this journey finally on Saturday. So the reason for this adventure, the idea, I'm actually going to be starting on the Saturday at 5 p.m. at Pietermaritzburg Town Hall.
Okay.
I'm going to then be running down to Durban.
Okay.
And then with the idea of once I'm down, I will be physically, mentally, emotionally drained. I'm going to find the strength and the courage to be able to get back up to Pietermaritzburg. And that is what this journey is all about. The Get Back Up Challenge was, as most ideas, was born in the bar and actually on some of the runs. And the idea just grew and grew. And I've had the most incredible support from my peanuts, the trail running group, the Scurvy Sea Dogs at Pirates, and the rest of the club, and it's just been an incredible journey that I've been able to share. So yes, it's a challenge of 175 kilometers, John.
Okay.
And I'm definitely not the first. So people keep on calling me crazy. People calling me inspirational. We prefer the word inspirational. But I'm not just doing this for myself. I'm running for mental health. I'm running for mental health awareness. So my two charities that I'm running for is for the incredible organization SADAG, the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. and another organization called Matthew and Me. So Matthew was 16 when he committed suicide in 2024. He was a boy at Kes, and we don't know what these teenage kids are going through at the moment. They are fighting battles that we don't even have a clue about because we were never in those situations.
Right.
The social media pressures, the bullying at school, there's so much that we need to educate and teach our kids about and how to be resilient. So another lesson from this challenge is resilience.
So, Donovan, I've been telling everybody you're running up and then you're running straight back down again because you know one has to get back to Durban in one way or another. But to be serious about it, you're going down first. So you start at 5. What? I don't know how. Well, let me go back a step. How many comrades have you done so far?
So I've done 2. I did my back-to-backs from 23 and 24. I backed a buddy in 25, helping him actually to get down to Durban. So this year we are now going up from Durban. So I've done 2 marathons, but I have got a slightly better pedigree in the trail running environment. I've done some of the 100 milers, which are those incredible.
Yes.
I'm going to use again the word inspirational, not crazy. Inspirational 24-hour 100 miles across the Drakensberg and across Table Mountain in Cape Town. And then I've also done something which is called a backyard ultra, where I covered 288 kilometers in 43 hours at the end of April. So I love my running.
So clearly, so when how long would you expect? So you're setting off at 5 p.m. You're going to be running in the dark. I assume you've got some support and backing.
Yes, I have.
And crucial, but you'll get to Durban roughly when? How long are you expecting to take?
So the plan is there's a 12-hour cutoff to comrades. So if I leave at 5 p.m., I need to be in Durban by 5 a.m. So I've got 12 hours, but I'm planning on about 11 hours 15.
Okay.
I've had the most incredible support from Woodford Card Rental and from Cell C, who are 2 of the official sponsors of Comrade. So I'll have a car which is going to be following me on the way down.
Right.
Cell C is going to be providing some refreshment sessions along the way, and I've got some incredible support crew. So they'll be driving down, being very patient as I'm running at 5 kilometers an hour up in Chunga, and then meeting in Durban. I'm planning for 4:15.
Okay,
so
and then
in the morning to give me 45 minutes to refresh.
Okay, so then you join everybody else at the line, and you shuffle your way forward as the elite runners tear off into the distance, and then you're going to get all the way back up to Maritzburg again. Donovan, tell us about the mental health focus of this initiative that you're taking. Is this something that's come to you recently? And if you can, just share with us why you're making this your cause.
So there was a couple of years ago, I was just realizing on some of my runs that the guys who are on these runs, you can just see that they're a little bit zoned out, a little bit tuned out. They're carrying an extra weight that they shouldn't necessarily be carrying. So I organized a run. We got a few people together. We had about 100 people come together for a mental health run just to check in, have a chat. No pressure to participate, but just create a safe space for people to join in. And with 100 people there, it started 100 different conversations. And I realized then and there that there is definitely a space and a need for people to talk and to communicate and to share their stories and to share their load better. I think, John, the best story I can give you is, as a runner, if I'm running and you as my running buddy happens to twist an ankle, it is not my role to help you heal your ankle. What I'll do, though, is I'll get you to the doctor. I'll wait in the x-ray room as you have an x-ray done. I'll make sure that you're physically on the path to recovery. And the same thing happens with mental health. If I'm running and I'm walking through life with you and you are struggling or feeling overwhelmed or feeling depressed, it is not my role as your friend to heal you. It is my role as your friend to make sure that I get you the help that you need. In the same way as I would take you to a doctor if you twisted an ankle, I would help you get to a therapist. I would involve somebody like SADAG, who has the most incredible resources and the most incredible stories and assistance that they can help in a wide variety of counseling, whether it's trauma, whether it's suicide, whether it's substance addiction.
Right.
There are so many different ways that they can assist. So this journey is to start conversations with people who need to have them, and that is what my journey is: to try and help those guys and girls to get the help that they need.
Have you always been a runner? I mean, teen years, or is it a relatively new thing?
A relatively new thing, John. It was just before COVID. It was a blood pressure issue that I was facing, and then I started running with some friends at work, and we started doing some of these golf course runs with 5Ks and 10Ks. And then all of a sudden that became a 21K, and then the 21K became a marathon. And then in 2021, I ran my first 100-kilometer races. And then, last year I covered about 5,000 kilometers of running, which is Joburg to Cape Town to Durban to Joburg to Cape Town. That is 5,000 kilometers in a year. And it's, so the running, the actual physical act of running is just so mindful. You've got the community around you. Everybody's trying to be the best version of themselves. And it's just such a healthy way to actually spend your time.
Thanks so much, and the very, very best of luck, and well done. Congratulations. 2 wonderful causes. SADAG and Matthew and me will benefit from the money and awareness that Donovan Shirley is raising. I did mislead you earlier when I said he's going to run up and then run down. In fact, he's doing it the other way around. And that makes, in many ways, a whole lot of sense, because presumably a real injection of energy awaits him when he joins the many thousands lining up in Durban to do the Comrades Up Run. Your Comrades story, if you like, maybe you're running for a cause and you'd like to share that with us. Maybe you just want to tell us how your preparations are going. I know this is a tricky time, a few days before the race, and you stay away from people who are sniffing and snuffling, but that's not always possible. Particularly if you're a doctor or a nurse who runs Comrades, I would imagine that's pretty tricky as well. But do give us a call if you want to chat about your run, your race, and what's on your mind as you prepare to cover the ground from Durban to Pietermaritzburg. We always love to hear from Comrades runners ahead of the big day. 7:02 Drive, 3 minutes to 4.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
You would have seen that in previous questioning sessions in the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee, certain parliamentarians asked questions that are now beginning to make sense. You remember there were certain questions that were quite random. I remember one member of Parliament asking, so you have the ability to get devices and be able to extract information, even that information which is deemed to have been deleted. And that question just disappeared. Maybe we can now begin to connect the dots. Now you begin to say, okay.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Smart Steve from Momentum. Hello.
Steve, you moved to Momentum. Congrats.
Thanks.
It's Tasha. Listen, the fast-paced life in Josie just isn't working for me. I'm migrating to the Cape.
What does that have to do with life insurance?
Well, you know I love a glass or 3. And I want to age as graciously as a smooth Merlot, not a box of Car Bordeaux.
Naturally.
And I need my critical illness cover to pair with those chilled vibes.
Of course. With Momentum, you get the most comprehensive critical illness cover in the market. You could say it's a full-bodied offering.
I'll toast to that.
Chat to your financial advisor about Momentum's critical illness cover. Momentum, protecting your journey to success. Momentum is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
It's that time of the year. Sore throats, congestion, wet and dry coughs, pain and fever. For trusted relief for you and your family, ask your pharmacist to recommend a winter survival pack from the Adcock Ingram OTC range. With products like Medikeel A, Expigen, Corenza Parac, Adco Napamol, Dilinct Junior and more, we have you covered this winter. Remember, Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave.
Not every change feels like a choice. Some arrive as disruption. Shift Happens with Richard Sutton is a podcast about those moments where life moves first and you have to catch up. When certainty disappears, direction blurs, and everything familiar starts to shift. You'll hear stories from people who faced change, doubt, and pressure and found a way forward. Their stories give us confidence. Living vicariously through their experience gives us hope, and we learn from their journeys. Because what feels like an ending is often the beginning of something else. Shift Happens, weekly on primemediaplus.com, the Prime Media Plus app, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Powered by First Light, therapeutics for the modern mind.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive coming up a little bit later in the show. Tuberculosis, still a huge problem in South Africa. Every year there's a major conference. Social and societal experts look at that aspect of dealing with the disease. The very latest cutting edge scientists come in and they share whatever's being discovered, either through tests of new drugs or perhaps other scientific work that's being done. We'll take a closer look at that conference at 10 to 5. It's 4 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Impeachment committee MPs can't seem to agree on rules and more resources deployed to probe the Cleveland mass shooting. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. National Assembly Speaker Thoko Didiza has sent political parties back to the drawing board to thrash out two key disagreements on revised rules for a Section 89 impeachment process. It was expected that the Rules Committee would agree to a refined set of rules to guide the work of the committee today. The committee will be considering matters related to President Cyril Ramaphosa's conduct following the theft of US dollars from his Palapala farm in 2020. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
Following a DA proposal in a Rules subcommittee last week that only fit and proper MPs be considered to serve on the impeachment committee, Parliament's lawyers have advised that a rule to this effect best be put to the public first. At issue is whether impeached judge turned MK Party MP John Shlope should be allowed to serve on the committee. ACNSA's Athol Trollip is among those, along with the ANC and Freedom Front Plus, who have backed the proposal.
I think this is what the public of South Africa expect of members of parliament, for us to do the right thing and to be fit and proper.
Meanwhile, the ATM's Tandiswa Magau has suggested the impeachment committee not only confine its probe to the president's direct conduct, but Speaker Thoko Didiza cautioned about the ramification of this.
If a minister appointed by the president does gross misconduct, will impeach the president for that?
Didiza has referred the sticking points back to the Rules Subcommittee for a final decision before the proposed rules are returned to the Rules Committee for adoption. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Acting Police Commissioner Buleng Dimpane has authorized the deployment of additional specialized resources to support the investigation into the Cleveland mass shooting. A multidisciplinary task team is currently leading efforts to track down those responsible for the attack which left 12 people dead at the Jumpers informal settlement last night. Nkosikona Malingamnisi reports.
As police wrap up their crime scene investigation at Jumpers informal settlement, the focus is now shifting to hunting down those behind one of Gauteng's deadliest mass shootings. Acting National Police Commissioner Buleng Dimpane says the specialized task team appointed to investigate the mass murder will include experts from forensic services, tactical response teams, crime intelligence, and other specialized investigative units. The police's Nonkululeko Pukane.
The task team will include provincial and national experts that will work around the clock to pursue all investigative and intelligence lead, including the tracing of a Toyota Quantum that was allegedly linked to this specific incident.
The stench of death still hangs over this community. Blood-stained pathways, abandoned homes, and palpable fear are the lasting reminders of a brutal attack that has left residents shocked and traumatized. For many who survived the gunfire, the horror of last night will linger long after investigators leave the scene. Or Sikona Malingamnisi, Eyewitness News in Cleveland.
The testimony of a senior Hawks officer has taken a sharp turn at the Madlanga Commission today. Commissioners have grilled the officer testifying as witness I over his conduct at the scene of a major drug bust. He was present at a 2021 drug bust in Ayrton in the south of Joburg, where more than 700 kilograms of cocaine was seized. He claims he was on the scene because he believed the operation was linked to a similar investigation that he had been working on, but evidence suggests that the two matters were unrelated. Evidence also indicates that witness I attempted to take charge of operations after arriving at the scene despite not being assigned to the case. Co-Commissioner Sandile Kumalo questioned why the Hawks officer failed to disclose his misconduct in his statement.
You describe yourself as an experienced investigator, and then you say what your observations at the scene where you set them out. Why do you not set out that your observations at the scene were that Mahane, Pakula, and Mashaba did wrong things that don't comply with the prescripts?
I don't know, Commissioner, why I didn't mention that.
And in Hong Kong, authorities have laid criminal charges following last year's Wang Fuk housing complex fire. 2 companies and 7 people face 25 charges, including manslaughter and conspiracy to defraud. Those charged include the project consultancy firm and the main contractor, as well as individuals involved in the renovations. The blaze, which killed 168 people last year, was the deadliest fire the city had seen in more than 70 years. An independent committee investigating the blaze has identified several critical breaches that led to the massive blaze, which also left thousands of people homeless. Gold is trading at $4,170.39 an ounce. The rand is at 16.48 to the dollar, 22.18 to the pound, 19.13 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $91.34 a barrel.
In the traffic in Noni, the accident that was on the N12 East has been cleared, but traffic remains slow moving from Snake Road to Boetfontein Road.
In your sport, Ruben van Heerden replaces Salman Murat in the Springbok squad. Thomas Tuchel praises Harry Kane, who's looking to lead England to World Cup glory. And Proteas women switch their focus to their T20 World Cup opener against Australia.
A fine Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 4 degrees, peaking at 19. Pretoria 6 and 20, and Vereeniging 6 and 19 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: National Assembly Speaker Thoko Didiza has sent political parties back to the drawing board to thrash out 2 key disagreements on revised rules for a Section 89 impeachment process.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy that connects us all.
That's what makes this one so special.
In 702, Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 7 minutes past 4. Good to have you with us on the show. Coming up over the next half an hour or so, we'll look and see what's going on at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry once again. Drug busts and a failure to either look after the drugs or look after the people who might be responsible or might lead you to the criminals. All of that just coming up day after day. Alpha Ramoshwana keeping an eye on things in that regard today. We're going to focus our attention as well on the shooting out in Cleveland and try and get some idea as to whether the police are starting to make some progress in their inquiries into this. All that and more on 702 Drive. We'd love to get your views on the big issues of the day. Please do give us a call on 072 702 1702 or give us a ring on 011 883 0702. I notice that some of you want to talk about Comrades Marathons and some of you want to talk about what happened out in Cleveland. Let's hear your thoughts.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi John, I'm not a Comrades runner, but I am a big Comrades supporter year in, year out. I fly to Durban to go support the runners. I'm a runner myself, but I don't do long distances anymore because of my operation on my ankle. I just want to talk about the importance of supported comrade guys, especially having a family. Comrades is a family day. It is so important. Seeing a familiar face when you are struggling, going through the most, it is the biggest thing that you can do for yourself. But anyway, if you don't have a family, we are there. We will be your support, and people from KZN, they will be along the road supporting. So I just want to wish all of you all of the best and see you in Durban. It is Linden in Kayalami from Waterfall City Athletics Club. We are a big club. We are big in support. We will be there, guys. All the best.
Yeah, thanks for sending us that. Now, the other thing I'm very keen to ask you about is this. You know, Bafana Bafana's game is at 9 o'clock tomorrow night, and that's great. It's kind of late. I'm sure people are going to let their kids stay up. Are you? Or maybe you're not. But some of the games are in the middle of the night. I mean, are you planning to do all-nighters, or are you recording games? Are you going to watch them on delay when they rebroadcast the next day and send out, as I often do with football matches, WhatsApps to all your friends, stay off social media? I mean, how are you going to deal with this? This is a very different World Cup. And by the way, it's very good practice for next year, for the World Cup that'll be in Australia in 2017. I'm talking rugby, of course. But then you're going to have to set your clocks in different ways, because we're behind Australia, whereas we're ahead of the United States, Mexico, and Canada. The time differences slightly more extreme, I think, in the case of Australia, although games on the West Coast, I think, will be a 9-hour time difference, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, maybe you got a plan. Maybe you got some tips on how to make the most of the World Cup, but ensure that you actually are able to function the next day. Call me with that on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. It's 11 minutes past 4. Let's catch up with the traffic.
EWN Traffic.
Kumoto, very good afternoon to you. Any areas we need to know about?
Yes, John, it's those peak time delays that are trickling in. So you can start bracing yourself if you're on the N3 South, particularly between Modderfontein Road all the way to the Galulis interchange. Traffic is moving slowly there. Over on the M1 North, there's also slow moving traffic. This is from Corlett Drive to Woodmead Drive, so a little bit of patience there. While in the opposite direction, there's also slow moving traffic on the M1 South. This is from the Killarney Bends all the way to the Crown interchange. You can also look out for 40 traffic lights in Roodepoort at Hendrik Potgieter and Clearwater Mall, as well as in four ways at Cedar and Witkoppen. And all the way in the capital city, traffic lights are also out in the CBD at Lillian Goy and Francis Bard, as well as in Monument Park at the R21 and Solomon Mahlangu Drive. But pointsmen are on duty, so no need to worry much. I'll have more updates in just a bit.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Mabota, 1 to 3 p.m.
So how do all these institutional role players actually work together to just ensure that they stay independent fiduciaries of those large sums of money that they manage?
The institutional investor, and once again, if we continue with the example, yourself as the host of the event has an event planner. The event planner obviously knows now where to go. Within that particular restaurant as well, you have in the background what we call the chefs. So portfolio managers at the asset management space. And each of those portfolio managers are able to build these meals that are relevant to exactly what you're looking for. You also have individuals such as myself who are client fund managers. We in essence act as the waiters, conduits between yourself as the diner as well as the chef in the background.
Client fund manager, Stanlib Asset Management.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Mabota.
Let's walk the talk.
What if the problem you face became the business that changed everything? That's what Nedbank Business Ignite on 702 is all about, with this year's theme, My Pain, My Purpose, My Solution. We're calling on small businesses that turn real challenges into powerful ideas. And you could win 200,000 Rand in cash, plus mentorship, business support, and tools to help you grow sustainably. Enter the Nedbank Business Ignite on 702 now at primemediaplus.com or igniteyourbusiness.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Get ready to take the reins. The spotlight shifts to the 2026 Hollywood Bets Durban July in our thrilling Season of Champions competition. Bet 50 Rand or more on horse racing online or at your nearest Hollywood Bets branch for your chance to take home a share of 2.5 million Rand in cash and prizes. Are you ready to embrace the country allure experience? Bet now and join the race for champion status. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
You know when your people are giving their best, not because they're pushed or pressured, but because they feel supported. And support is making sure they're covered. So if something happens, they can get the care they need. FlexiCare Health Insurance makes it simple for every business to protect their people with affordable health cover. You care. We cover. For a tailored FlexiCare quote, speak to your financial advisor today. FlexiCare is underwritten by ANG, a licensed non-life insurer and FSP, and administered by Discovery Health, a licensed FSP.
The future of business isn't just about making more. It's about wasting less, using resources smarter, and finding value where others see waste. This Thursday, catch the Clement Manyatela Show live from the Gauteng Industrial Symbiosis Program Business Opportunity Workshop, hosted by the National Cleanup Production Center. Discover how businesses are turning waste into wealth, unlocking new partnerships, and driving green growth across Gauteng. Be part of the conversations driving change. This Thursday, live on the Clement Manyatela Show, brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Environment on 702.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John, and your team. John, about the impeachment committee. Now it looks like other members of parliament are cracking a whip on members of parliament who are not that honorable, which is commendable for others to call fellow members to order. But now, here is another catch that this impeachment committee is going to face very soon. What is happening at Madlanga Commission? The Julius Malema factor. Smangaliso Wahanye Tembisa.
Yeah, I have to say I disagree with you. The Madlanga Commission has its brief. The Phala Phala Ad Hoc Committee has its brief. And I think the real skill, and we've seen it exercised both in Parliament and in Tshwane at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College with the three commissioners there, they've been very, very good at being clear about what they need to deal with. If there is a reason to call Julius Malema or anyone else that has come up in that affidavit we discussed yesterday with Karen Moore to the Madlanga Commission, Madlanga will do that business. That, as I see it, has absolutely nothing to do with the work that members of parliament, including Mr. Malema, will be doing in regard to Phala Phala. And I'm pretty confident that with Makashule Ghana in the chair and some other wise and experienced old heads, they'll be able to keep that committee on track, because it's vital that they do. As to members disciplining other members and so on, I think there's a degree of that, and I think that's right. But we also have to acknowledge that politicians, and there will be some political contestation with different MPs wanting to emphasize different things. I think, again, the chair and I think a sufficient number of MPs committed to the core task of that committee, which is to get to the truth, I think will play a big part in keeping us on track. 18 minutes past 4.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's focus our attention, having mentioned the Madlanga Commission, on what happened at the Commission today. Once again, drugs, large amounts of them seized in police operations, instead of this being the launch pad for an investigation that gets not only the drugs off the street, but gets behind bars the people who are smuggling them into the country or moving them around the country and wrecking families and communities as they go about, I won't call it their business, as they go about their criminal acts. But instead, the focus is on the cops and who said what and who should have done what and what processes should have been followed and were they or not. It's quite exhausting stuff, actually, but fortunately, Alpha Ramashwana has been watching it with a very fresh eye and knows what's going on. Alpha, what did we learn today? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. You would know that over the past month or so, the Madlanga Commission has been looking into the law and police's handling of drug consignments that were seized. Today, has also been along those lines. John, you and I have had a conversation not so long ago about 541 kilograms of drugs that were seized in Port Shepstone. Today, the focus is on more than 700 kilograms of cocaine, which were seized in the south of Johannesburg in 2021, which were mishandled by the Hawks again. And today we've heard testimony from a Hawks officer who's testifying as witness I, who testified partly in camera. And his testimony really took a sharp turn today when he was questioned about his presence at the scene of the drug bust in 2021. So he's told the commission in his statement that in 2020, him and his colleagues had received a tip-off about a man who was dealing and transporting drugs in the north of Pretoria, in Zambezi to be specific. And a year later, they got another tip-off that drugs were being transported from Durban to Pretoria North, and those drugs were intercepted by police in Johannesburg, in Ayrton to be specific. And it emerged that the drugs that were found in the south of Johannesburg were not the same drugs that he has been investigating. And when he got to the scene, he tried to show them the inquiry that he had opened and the investigation started in 2020 and tried calling the shots. Now, we've heard testimony that that was irregular given the fact that he did not verify that the drugs that were found were the same one that he had been investigating. Evidence suggests, John, that the drugs were two different consignments and that he had no business to be on the scene. The second thing that emerged today is that witness I has told the Madlanga Commission that he stayed at the family home of alleged crime boss Vusumuzi Cat Matala for 2 years in Mamelodi. And his story is that there was an attempt on his life, and one of his seniors at work, Captain Zungu, organized the house for him to lay low with his family for quite some time. He said that he only found out during his stay at the Mamelodi home of Vusumuzi Cat Matala that the property belonged to Matala, and said that he didn't have any concerns with staying under his roof at the time because he knew him only as a businessman and not really as an alleged crime boss. But another issue that came out was that he had described Matala as a police informant, saying that Vusumuzi Cat Matala had assisted the Hawks multiple times with information related to drugs and other criminal issues. And so while he claims that he had no relationship with Matala, he admits to staying in his home for about 2 years, and he admits knowing him before staying in his home as a police informant. So really that's what's happened at the Madlanga Commission today. A new witness is taking the stand as we speak. The commission is currently on a break, might come back anytime now. And that witness is Chief Mashaba, who was also at the scene of that drug bust, John. He's a Gauteng traffic police officer. And the question is, why on earth was a traffic police officer on the scene of a drug bust? We're going to be hearing his testimony this afternoon, John.
I mean, Alpha, I'm just chuckling because you said, why on earth would a traffic officer be on the scene of a drug bust and playing a central role there? But I suppose there are no more surprises, are there? In many ways. I mean, we can be shocked, and I'm regularly shocked with what I hear at Madlanga, but I have to say I'm no longer surprised. I don't know if you are.
Well, I mean, it's still surprising, John, because every day at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, we hear shocking information.
Yep.
When we speak about Chief Mashaba, the Gauteng traffic police officer, other witnesses had said that he was the one who received the tip-off about the drugs. But we've heard that he was only supposed to hand over the drugs to the relevant law enforcement authorities and leave the scene. But previous testimony alleges that he handled or mishandled, rather, the drug consignment. So it does get shocking, John. I mean, 3 weeks ago we heard at the commission that 541 kilograms of drugs that were stored at the Hawks Port Shepstone offices were kept at those offices that had been broken into 10 times in a period of 8 times in a period of 10 years. So while it is shocking information, I think there's still a lot that we're going to be shocked about at the Madlanga Commission.
Absolutely. The fact that we've been shocked before doesn't mean we aren't shocked now. Alpha Ramashwana, thank you. 24 minutes past 4.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Right, let's focus our attention now on eThekwini. The MK party has been leading a march through the streets of Durban, arguing what and trying to convey what kind of message. Don't forget, this is a city where there have been protests and demonstrations over a number of weeks. Nhlanhla Mabaso, EWN reporter, keeping an eye on things. Nhlanhla, very good afternoon to you. An MK party march. What was the message they were trying to get across?
Well, John, they say service delivery issues, but before I proceed, John, just to lament on what you were saying about the number of sporadic protests that has been, I actually overheard a public order police officer telling his colleague that he is now tired of these demonstrations in the city. Well, the MK party was basically saying that they are concerned about the lack of service delivery. You'd recall that for the past month or so now, the eThekwini Metro Municipality has had water interruptions in parts of the province, and the party believes that this is deliberately done to ensure that those who are service providers of water tankers get an opportunity or a tendering opportunity. The party says this is something that is done purposely by some people within the city, and they submitted a memorandum of demands, requesting quality service delivery for the people in the city, but also raising concern about the issue of undocumented foreign nationals. They say that there are places in the city where people can actually go because they've now become drug theft. Point Road is one of the areas that for years has been, said to be a drug den in the city. Various raids there, some led by the provincial commissioner himself, have resulted in arrests, recovery of drugs, and counterfeit money worth 4.1 million. They were raising issues to the city that something needs to be done. But of course, John, you'd recall it's the year of the local government election. This municipality, eThekwini, is the only metro in KwaZulu-Natal out of the 54 municipalities in the province. The party says it's setting its sights on that particular municipality. Not a surprise, though. Many parties have now come out to say they are looking at it. The ANC over the weekend said the same thing. The DA during the King visit said the same thing yesterday. That memorandum of demands contains much more and was given to eThekwini Mayor Cyril Xaba, who says he will have a look and revert, John.
Thanks so much, Nhlanhla Mabaso. Yeah, I think we're going to see more and more political parties in the streets, including political parties. Don't be surprised when they take to the streets to protest against the conduct of municipalities that they help to govern. But we've seen that before too. 27 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
This EWN Business is brought to you by Volvo. Experience the best of both worlds with plug-in hybrids. Electric when you want it and fuel when you need it. I don't know if he's wearing a seatbelt. Maybe we should. But Muteo Khwaripe, rough today on the markets, it would seem.
Yeah, quite rough. We had a bit of growth yesterday, a good story to tell, even with that capital formation keeping low. But this afternoon then, South Africa's economy continues to stumble with economic activity in the past 6 months slowing. The Pay Inc. Economic Index is the latest indicator of challenges facing South African households. The index declined by 2.1% month on month to 102 points in May, marking the slowest and lowest level since November of 2025. The index, which tracks the monthly value of electronic transactions cleared by Pay Inc., declined sharply in May, and rising costs and global tensions then pointed to very under pressure households in the country. Both business and consumers are facing higher fuel prices, and compounding issues is the SARB's recent decision to hike rates. Contributors to the weaker outcome were also higher inflation forecasts, with consumer price and producer price indices rising significantly. Then elsewhere on the market, U.S. equities fell on Wednesday as markets opened in New York after President Donald Trump signaled that negotiations with Iran were taking too long and threatened more action. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell by 207 points, getting in lower. The S&P 500 was also in some weakness, with the tech-heavy Nasdaq also down 0.2% respectively. Now, Trump wrote early on Wednesday that Iran has taken too long to negotiate a deal that would have been great for them. Now they will have to pay the price. That's what the U.S. president had to say, while oil prices at the same time rose on those threats. The JSE not doing as well at this hour, 118 points down this afternoon. Industrials were lower, Finances also down in negative territory. Mining shares down 3%, so not looking good ahead of market close. Some of the biggest losers there. Coronation down 6%, Northam down 5%. The industrial giant Supergroup down 6%, with the miners as well pulling down the local market. The rand at this hour, 16 rand 50 against the US dollar, 19.08 against the euro, and 22 rand 13 cents against the British pound. Price of gold, $4,175 an ounce, while platinum is at $1,702. Brent crude at $92 a barrel, up 1.6% this afternoon. I'll bring more business after 5:30.
Relax. You're okay. Your new Volvo plug-in hybrid will get you there and back again. And there again. And back again. Because you're at least 80 kilometers of electric range away from having to worry about petrol or the battery, which comes with an 8-year warranty. But it will keep you going for much, much longer than that. Test drive a Volvo plug-in hybrid.
7:02 Drive, it's 4:30. Mbali Dlamini standing by with the latest news. Mbali, I believe, yet another vehicle recall.
That's correct, John. A very good afternoon. Well, the National Consumer Commission has announced yet another vehicle recall. This time, it's affecting some Hino 700 series trucks. According to the supplier, the issue relates to the vehicle's fuel pump housing, which had an inappropriate surface treatment process done during its production. Toyota South Africa now says, as a result, cracks may develop when repeated high load is applied to the supply pump, resulting in a fuel leak. The NCC says the affected vehicles were sold nationally between 10 September 2024 and 10 December of the same year. Head of Complaints and Investigations at the NCC, Prudence Moilwa.
Consumers or drivers of these affected vehicles are urged to visit their nearest authorized Toyota dealerships to arrange for an inspection and repairs, where a new fuel pump will be fitted to the affected truck. All inspections and corrective work relating to the recall will be carried out at no cost to the drivers or to the consumers.
The Nafiz Modak trial fell into chaos yet again today after 4 of the accused stormed out during proceedings in the Western Cape High Court. Modak and 14 co-accused face numerous charges related to allegedly operating a criminal enterprise. Carlo Peterson has more.
Accused number 4, Taufik Brown, who is alleged to be the leader of the terrible Westsiders gang in Woodstock, stood up in court again today to address presiding judge Robert Henny. Brown stormed out of court and down to the holding cells yesterday after expressing concern about his wife's name being mentioned in court. Today, Brown vented similar concerns before again walking out, followed by 3 of the other accused who are also alleged to be members of the terrible Westsiders gang. Judge Robert Henny then ordered the prison warders to bring the accused back to the dock. After a short adjournment, the 4 accused returned to the dock for the matter to proceed. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News, Western Cape High Court.
Government is reviewing its automotive policy in an attempt to address the global shift towards electric and hybrid vehicles. The plan is to add to the country's incentive program minerals used in the production of electric vehicle batteries. The revisions are intended to align the program with the South African Automotive Master Plan of 2035, Annelita Fandese reports.
As global demand shifts toward electric and hybrid vehicles, South Africa is attempting to get ahead by expanding incentives to minerals critical for EV battery production. While addressing the global shift, government also aims to boost local EV output, saying the materials will need to be sourced in the region for producers to qualify for incentives. The standard materials list will now include materials such as rare earths, iron, lithium, and copper. The move aligns with the South African Automotive Master Plan 2035, aimed at raising vehicle output, deepening localization, and supporting the transition to electric mobility. The proposed amendments are open for public comment for the next 4 weeks. Annelita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
And Bill Gates is set to be interviewed by a congressional committee today about his past association with late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The co-founder of Microsoft is appearing voluntarily in Washington today. Gates' connection to Epstein came into wider public attention after the U.S. Department of Justice published more than 3 million pages of documents linked to Epstein's criminal investigation. According to reports, the interview will take place behind closed doors and will not be videotaped, but the transcript is expected to be publicly released. A fine Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, lows of between 4 and 6 degrees and highs of between 19 and 20.
In the traffic, if you're heading out now, expect some peak time delays on the N3 South between Marlborough Drive and the Galulies interchange. And in Edenvale, traffic is sluggish on the R24 West heading towards the Galulies interchange.
The top story in EWN, the National Consumer Commission has announced yet another vehicle recall, this time affecting some Hino 700 series trucks.
The world's attention is on the beautiful game, the goals, the upsets, the heroes, the heartbreak. And while the action unfolds on the field, we'll keep you connected to everything that matters. From match results and expert analysis to the stories shaping the tournament both on and off the pitch. Wherever you are and whichever team you're backing, join the conversation. Because when the world is watching, every moment matters. Stay connected to the world's greatest game. Stay on 702 Cape Talk and EWN.co.za.
The 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk is calling on you to walk with the people, for the people, on Sunday, 26 July. Babize Bonke. And this year you can choose from 3 different inner city routes. The 15-kilometer Mandela Bridge route takes you from Ellis Park, through town, up to and through the Constitution Hill precinct, down to Bromfontein and over Mandela Bridge. Then it's through Newtown and past the Market Theatre and back to Ellis Park. So whether you're taking on the 15K, 5K or 8-kilometer walk, enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
Your boss noticed. Your ex noticed. The neighbors definitely noticed. Because some cars say, I rented a car. And some cars say, I rented the car. Sani 6 to rent a car. Premium rentals. For people who don't settle. Choose the right car. Rent Sani 6 on sani.co.za.
Insurance pulls you in. Pineapple pulls you under. Insurance. Pineapple. Insurance. Pineapple. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John and Kim. World Cup fixtures. I will be watching, obviously, the opening game for Bafana because I think the time is reasonable. But those which will be playing at odd hours, I will most probably record those that I think are of interest for me. And I will most definitely stay up for semi-final games as well as the final. But the rest, it's cold, guys. I cannot be waiting for a game that will play probably in the early hours. No. Modise, yeah, not so as usual.
Yeah, thanks, Mundisi. I mean, I'm just skimming through the fixtures, and the question I asked, by the way, if you missed it, is how are you going to deal with those World Cup games that, you know, take place at all hours of the morning? So already on Sunday, I think Brazil-Morocco is a terrific fixture, but it actually begins at midnight. So, yeah, if you're going to stay up for that. And if you want to watch African teams and you want to see how Ivory Coast do in their first game against Ecuador, that's on Monday, the 15th of June at 1 a.m. And on it goes. I'm just checking. I think Bafana's games are all at a reasonable time. I'll double check those for you while we do the rest of the sport, and then I'll let you know at what time they play. But yeah, there's some great fixtures that are taking place while really we ought to all be asleep. So what's your plan for watching? Give me a call on that. 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. 21 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kele, very good afternoon to you. Are you going to burn the midnight oil, or have you got a way of recording and keeping yourself away from the score?
John, the hate watching will keep me warm at night, and I will absolutely be staying up for all the 3 a.m. kickoffs. I think that's the one. That's Bafana up against
South Korea.
Yes.
Yeah, I've just seen that. 3 a.m.
We've had to wait 16 years to watch this team at a World Cup and not have to support a second nation. I will be there for all their games.
We've had enough time to save up for alarm clocks.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, I mean, you have them in your phone, so I'm showing my age there. What's happening in sport?
Well, John, 4 nations, including Cape Verde, will make their debuts at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. That's after it was expanded to a 48-team tournament. One of the new names is Haiti, who qualified after being forced to play all their home matches on foreign soil due to the ongoing conflict in their homeland. Expectations for the nation remain modest, and Derek Etienne has called on them to make the most of their appearance at the Global Showpiece event.
We don't have anything to lose, honestly. Everyone's picked us to be last, and we weren't even expected to get to the World Cup. So I think that we're going to go out there, we're going to play the best football that we can, and God controls everything. So whatever results we get, the results we get, but we're going to try our best, and we're going to do whatever we can to get points.
Marco Silva has agreed to become Benfica's new head coach following confirmation that Jose Mourinho will leave the Portuguese club for Real Madrid. Silva ended his 5-year stint as Fulham boss a week ago. That's when his contract at Craven Cottage expired, and he'll sign a deal until the end of the 2027-28 season. As for Mourinho's exit, Benfica say Real Madrid will pay them 15 million euros in compensation to bring the 63-year-old back to the Bernabeu. Over to tennis, where Serena Williams still has to decide whether to play at Wimbledon. That's after making a winning comeback 4 years after her last competitive match. Playing in the doubles at the Queen's Club, she and Victoria Mboko claimed a straight sets win in front of a sold-out crowd. And next up for Williams and the Canadian teenager is a clash against Leila Fernandez and Laura Siegemund in the quarterfinals on Thursday.
I had nothing better to do. I got tired of sitting at home. My kids are out of school for the summer, so why not? It was so fun. I had so much fun playing with Vicky. She really was able to hold up the team and really play big on the big points, and I could really rely on her. And we've never played together, but it just felt so natural playing with her, so it was actually really fun.
And England captain Ben Stokes alongside teammate Gus Atkinson have been dropped from the squad for next week's second test against New Zealand at the Oval. The pair broke the team's midnight curfew in the early hours of Monday morning and were present when a member of England's security staff was struck by a Saracens rugby player. Joe Root will step in as captain for that game, while Jofra Archer and Jordan Cox have been added to the squad that won the first test at Lord's by 115 runs. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 18 minutes to 5, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Getting really busy out in Midrand. Khumotso Munyai with the details.
Indeed. Thank you, John. If you are in Midrand, there's queuing traffic on the N1 North. This is from the Batlu interchange all the way to Olifantsfontein Road. And staying with the Batlu interchange, the N1 South is also experiencing those peak time delays. This is as you head towards Winnie Mandela Drive. Over on the M1 South, delays are stretching from the Killarney bins as you head towards the Crown interchange. While in the opposite direction, traffic is moving slowly on the M1 North. This is from Collett Drive through to Woodmead Drive. If you come across any other traffic on your side, please do send us a WhatsApp message on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Things people stress about in traffic. Number 48. Did I upload the updated version of the presentation? Oh, the anxiety. Well, with the Outsurance Pointsman on your route, at least the traffic is one less thing to stress about. The Outsurance Pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
This Youth Month, 702 Drive with John Perlman
commemorates the youth of 1976.
Let's walk the talk.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
702 Drive, we were talking about watching World Cup games in the awkward hours that some of them are taking place. Tobile brings us down to earth with this and says, unfortunately, tomorrow's Snake Park is scheduled for load reduction 5 till 10. We won't be able to watch the soccer. I'm really sorry, Tobile. I don't know what to say, but I think that's absolutely awful. And there should have been, if possible, a plan made to make sure that everyone can watch the game. I know that's been done on previous occasions. It ought to have been done for tomorrow. Maybe it still can. 702 Drive, it's 5:45 now. Tola Kelly, we were talking about, okay, first of all, let me ask you this question. Were you grounded when you were younger? And, you know, if you did bad things, were certain things taken away and they said, okay, Ms. T, you staying home this weekend and next?
My parents didn't take anything away from me because there was nothing to take. I only got a cell phone like in grade 8.
No, but grounding, you're not allowed to go out. You can't have friends around. No?
John, they used the other punishment. They just hit me.
Okay, got it over and done with.
Yeah, just got it over and done with. And then I was mad for like an hour or two and then I moved on with my life.
So I got a really bad school report, very bad. And my punishment was until the end of the next term, if I, where I had an opportunity to improve, which I did, I was not allowed to have anything to do with football.
Ooh.
I couldn't watch football. I couldn't play football. And I used to get football magazines, which is a bizarre concept for many of our listeners, but it's like a magazine. It's like a book, but it's thinner. Magazines, they're nodding. Okay, so we're not
John,
that
we're
far
not that
apart.
young.
Okay, I'm just checking. I used to get...
We were the generation of magazines.
I used to get 2 football magazines, one called Shoot and one called Goal. No football magazines, and no going to games. But here's my question for you. Although we need to hear from Khomotso. Did you get grounded ever?
Yes, but the only thing that they ever really did take was my phone.
Okay.
Fortunately, I didn't get what Tolagele got.
Okay, so that brings you much closer to my question. In the modern era where kids do so much that doesn't involve them actually having to go anywhere, because you can still connect with your friends.
That's true.
I couldn't come to the party, but don't worry, we're going to put it on stream and it'll be just like being there. I'm interested to know, how do parents actually do the same equivalent of, okay, you've done this, you didn't do that, you're going to be punished, we're grounding you, to which they may say, cool, more screen time.
I think it's much more harder now, John, because there are so many screens. Like my little sister,
Yes.
if we take away her phone, she will lie and say, I need to do some homework. So would you borrow me your laptop? And when you give her your laptop, she can download WhatsApp or Instagram or whatever. And, that thing's defeated. So I think it's really tricky these days, eh?
Yeah. Okay, so give us your solutions, please. And maybe you've had to implement as a parent. Maybe you are young enough to have been... what would we say? Digitally grounded, virtually grounded. You're virtually grounded. Doesn't have the same ring, and I'm not sure it has the same consequence. The modern era, how are you going about it? 13 minutes to 5.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Okay, let's focus our attention now on one of the major issues that really has dominated conversation over a good many weeks and probably months, and that is the marches and demonstrations and anger on the one hand against illegal and undocumented migrants, and then on the other, the attempts by the president on Sunday, but others as well. Yesterday, we heard from the Informal Traders Association of South Africa suggesting perhaps a middle path through this issue that is causing so much tension and bitterness. The latest to set out their ideas, the South African Council of Churches, the SACC, has put out what they call a pastoral letter. They're calling for compassion, dialogue, and accountability amid anti-foreign national tensions. Reverend Mzwandile Molo is General Secretary of the South African Council of Churches and joins us now. Reverend Molo, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time. You do note in your pastoral letter, and I'm looking now specifically at the media release that accompanied it, that you are acknowledging that there are genuine frustrations amongst South Africans about unemployment, crime, delivery, poor service delivery, economic exclusion, and so on. Have we failed as a country to listen properly to those grievances over 10 years and maybe longer? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to your listeners. John, you are quite correct. The SACC, in its pastoral letter, that is really sent as a pastoral note rather than as a public statement that kind of condemns and calls that one to that place or that place, but simply to say, as the leaders of the church who met on the 2nd of June, there are issues of deep, deep concern. And they are quite correct that the church leaders have identified the genuineness of the deep pain in society. The fact that we've got 40% of unemployment as our reality, the fact that our people cannot get access to clinics, and you juxtapose that lack of access to clinics and the headlines about what happened in Tembisa Hospital. You then go to issues of lack of access to housing, and you then juxtapose that with the rife corruption in local government and local departments and all those kind of things. Then you have to admit that not only have we not heard well, but we have not been moved enough as a society to jointly work together to deal with these structural and very fundamental problems of our country that leaves the poor competing amongst each other for that which is at the bottom of the rung rather than being inspired by what we can be together as a nation.
Reverend, I mean, amongst your members, are you getting feedback about conversations taking place in congregations? Because I would have thought a congregation in the centre of Johannesburg would have South Africans, but it would also have migrants, some of them here legally and some of them who aren't. I mean, are individual priests and pastors actually engaged in trying to get a conversation going where you know, perhaps you let a lot of the anger and fury out, but then move towards something that might offer a longer term solution?
The answer to that question, John, is indeed there are congregations who are part of the SACC. Some who are in Pretoria, some who are in the parts of Johannesburg, where people are having these conversations, where they've been trying over years to try to find a way of adjusting to the reality amongst us of people who do not necessarily have South African citizenship, both those who are legal and those who are claiming that they've applied, but the Home Affairs is taking forever to process their things and all those that goes with it. What has happened in the last 2 or 3 months has been the heightening of the tension, and the public expression of this kind of frustration and anger has made others feel unsafe, feel afraid, and therefore even going to church for some of them is a risk for their lives, because somebody is going to meet them as they go to church and is going to ask them, show us your papers. And if that person is not happy with the papers as they see them, they can do whatever they think to do. Somebody is going to point at their elbow and say, what does it mean in Xhosa or Zulu or Pedi? And then people get into trouble. So what happens is the fear has gripped some of our communities,
yes,
and people are afraid then to come out and say, let's have a conversation. We as the SACC are saying we need to have the maturity both in thinking, both in making sure information is correct, but also the moral courage to say, ultimately, we're all human beings created in the image of God, and whatever differences we can have, we can engage them with that clarity of moral conviction and the clarity of what are the problems that we face.
Are we not, though, admirable as your sentiments are, Reverend, faced with a reality that South Africa, and your point is well taken about Tembisa Hospital and the squandering of public resources, but the people who are raising this issue are saying that even if you had a government that didn't waste and steal money, that South Africa is not able to sustain social services and be they housing, be they health, for as many people as currently live here. And that would mean that we have to restrict much more than we do the number of people who come to live here from countries other than our own.
That might well be, John. That conclusion could be a conclusion that is fairly reached. But what you are saying That conclusion cannot be based on anecdote, cannot be based on what we observe in general terms. It must be informed by data, it might be informed by proper research, it must be informed by all the constituent issues being put on the table. And then we're able to say to ourselves, indeed, if our immigration policy needs to change, in what direction does it change without losing our own sense of commitment of human dignity, of justice, and a sense of ability to know that at the core of who we are people based on Ubuntu. And I hear people say Ubuntu is dispensable. I don't agree with that, because Ubuntu is an essential definer of who we are. But our immigration process then must be dealt with a well-researched, well-data-driven solution. Otherwise, we might posit solutions that really don't solve the problem. And therefore, we're going to end up with different answers to the same question.
Reverend Mola, I'd love to get your view on Ubuntu, because there would be some people who would say Ubuntu is serving those who are closest to you first. Now, I'm not offering that as a definition of a much more abundant concept than it is, but let me make it more concrete. There are people, and our listeners number among them, who say, excuse me, if there is to be Ubuntu, we'd like to be first in the line. That if there's only enough beds in a hospital, we think South Africans who have lived here and whose forebears have paid taxes and put in sweat labor, we think those beds should be ours first. I mean, do you accept that, the validity of the argument, even if you don't agree with all of it?
The validity of the argument is only valid, as far as I'm concerned, when we accept that that is a restrictive understanding of Ubuntu.
Yes.
Because when we say Ubuntu, we're no more defining Ubuntu. We are defining prioritization on the concept of Ubuntu as we want to prioritize ourselves.
Right.
Then we can debate whether that is the most understandable idea of Ubuntu. My understanding of Ubuntu, John, if you indulge me a little bit, I know as a boy I grew up in a home where if you are six in the family, my mother would have the sixth plate there, and we'll look around and say, who is she dishing for?
Right.
And she will say to us, there is a stranger that might just come in. And in a small little way, John, when that stranger does come in, we as little children, we will be very frustrated, because we know that little piece of meat that was going to be given to us is going to be given to the stranger. And that is the most fundamental definition of what it is to be Umuntu Ngabantu. And therefore, people say, let's restrict it, let's accept that we are restricting it, therefore we are not defining it as open as it is.
So, a final thought, Reverend Molo. Again, I'm trying to share with you some of the things we get from our listeners, and they are mixed, but one very strong feeling people express is a deep resentment of being labeled xenophobic when they express what they believe to be valid concerns about the state of the country and the pressures on resources. I don't need to detail those for you, because that's what we've been exploring together. Do we need to change the language of that, though, and maybe get away from a kind of scolding of people when they raise these concerns? That doesn't mean we have to agree with every concern and its premise, but do we need to reframe the language and perhaps listen more carefully?
The pastoral letter is strong on that position, John.
Yes.
We try our level best not to use the word xenophobia, not because the definition is right or wrong, but we have come to the conclusion that if we weaponize language against each other, for or against, we run the risk, therefore, of not hearing one another. The labeling ends up being a barrier to our conversation. So as the SACC, what we are committed to is to say our people in the depths of their heart are formed by this warmth of receiving everybody and anybody.
Yes.
But we do know that there are serious problems that any other human being, in the contestation of resources, the self-preservation becomes the imperative, becomes the impulse that drives people in that point, not because people are bad people, but because they're trying to self-preserve, they're trying to survive in these difficult times. So as the SACC, we try not to go into issues of labeling, because we know all of us can weaponize language against one another, and therefore we dismiss one another. We are saying, let us find a way of hearing one another, listening to one another. And John, just to be clear, The SACC is clear that documentation is a prerequisite of organizing a society. You cannot organize a society without knowing who is here.
Yes.
Even at the point of projection your plan, if you're going to plan for the clinic, you need to know how many people will be served by this clinic. Therefore, documentation is not an issue of debate for us. It is the prerequisite of running a state. But the question is, how do we resolve these issues without degenerating into violence, intimidation, dehumanization of people? That's where we are.
Thank you so much. Reverend Mzwandile Molo is the General Secretary of the South African Council of Churches. Lots of food for thought there. Share yours with us, please, on 072 702 1702.
Let's hear from Dr. Armand, owner of Monument Dental, why it pays to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance.
It was one call and I was covered immediately. We are very happy with the premium we're paying. I wish I did it sooner.
For dentistries, general medical practices and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Doing your famous through meetings, in traffic, at the store. Don't let seasonal hay fever get in the way of a better you. Unite against allergies with Demazin once a day, providing 24-hour non-sedating relief from symptoms like a runny nose, sneezing and itchy red eyes. Demazin gets it done. Speak to your pharmacist today about Demazin once a day.
A bigger and better national lottery is here. Live draws are back. Play at participating retailers, banking apps, and online. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizakai.
This is EWN.
A new witness takes the stand at the Madlanga Commission, and police are yet to determine the motive behind the Cleveland mass shooting. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. A traffic officer who was present at a major drug bust in 2021 has taken the witness stand at the Madlanga Commission this afternoon. Former Gauteng Traffic Police Deputy Chief Samuel Mashaba has begun his testimony. Over the past few weeks, the Commission has heard evidence suggesting Mashaba was on the scene of the drug bust in the south of Joburg, where more than 700 kilograms of cocaine was seized. Evidence before the Commission suggests that Mashaba and an informant tracked the major cocaine shipment from Durban to Johannesburg after receiving a tip-off. Alfara Mushwana reports.
In July 2021, Chief Samuel Mashaba received a tip-off about a massive drug consignment that was intercepted in Ayrton, south of Johannesburg. The Madlanga Commission has previously heard conflicting testimony over whether a traffic officer had any jurisdiction to be present at the scene of a major drug bust. Some witnesses have told the Commission that after handing over the scene to the relevant authorities, Mashaba had no reason to interfere with operations. Mashaba had requested to testify partly in camera today, citing health concerns, but the application was dismissed by the Commission.
It sounds to us that you can speak and you speak well, I would say, based on what we heard during your application. For those very brief reasons, we refuse the application.
Mashaba is expected to present evidence on the botched Ayrton drug bust. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
Gauteng police are still working to determine the motive behind an attack at the Jumpers in formal settlement in Cleveland, where 12 people were killed. Forensic experts have been scouring the scene for evidence. Today, detectives have made some headway, though, securing CCTV footage from a nearby property, which is now being analysed for leads. Investigators are also exploring a possible link to illegal mining operations, with some residents suggesting the mass shooting may be connected to rivalry between Zamazama groups. Gauteng Police Commissioner Tomim Tombeni says police are doing all they can to ensure the suspects are found.
The intelligence-led operations was here. Why didn't we pick up? You'll realize that this incident, it is a kind of sporadic. So sporadic incidents In most cases, it's not something which you'll know as to say this is going to happen.
The city of Johannesburg says some foreign nationals are occupying prime inner-city business spaces illegally, costing the municipal housing company millions in lost revenue. The allegations emerged during an operation led by Human Settlements MMC Mlungisi Mabaso, targeting defaulting tenants in city-owned buildings today. Officials say commercial tenants owe the Johannesburg Social Housing Company more than 3 million rand in unpaid rent. Mongezi Koko has more.
The claims surfaced during inspections of several buildings in Hillbrow and the inner city. City officials say they have come across a number of businesses operated by foreign nationals and are now questioning how the premises were allocated. They argue that the commercial spaces were intended to create opportunities for South Africans, and they say they're investigating possible irregularities. Human Settlements MMC Mlungisi Mabaso.
Some of the shops here are owned by foreign nationals, and we don't know how they were given the spaces to trade here, because we had indicated to the team that we need to afford South Africans an opportunity to trade.
The city says it will continue with its inner city inspections as it moves to tighten control over municipal properties. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg CBD.
National Assembly Speaker Thoko Didiza has sent political parties back to the drawing board to thrash out two key disagreements on revised rules for a Section 89 impeachment process. It was expected that the Rules Committee would agree to a refined set of rules to guide the work of the impeachment committee. Today, the committee will consider matters related to President Cyril Ramaphosa's conduct following the theft of US dollars from his Palapala farm in 2020. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
Following a DA proposal in a rules subcommittee last week that only fit and proper MPs be considered to serve on the impeachment committee, Parliament's lawyers have advised that a rule to this effect best be put to the public first. At issue is whether impeached judge turned MK Party MP John Shlope should be allowed to serve on the committee. Action SA's Athol Trollip is among those, along with the ANC and Freedom Front Plus, who have backed the proposal.
I think this is what the public of South Africa expect of members of parliament, for us to do the right thing and to be fit and proper.
Meanwhile, the ATM's Tandiswa Magau has suggested the impeachment committee not only confine its probe to the president's direct conduct, but Speaker Thoko Didiza cautioned about the ramification of this.
If a minister appointed by the president does gross misconduct, will you impeach the president for that?
Didiza has referred the sticking points back to the Rules Subcommittee for a final decision before the proposed rules are returned to the Rules Committee for adoption. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And in the UK, anti-immigration protesters have forced the suspension of all Translink bus and rail services across Northern Ireland. The protesters torched buildings and vehicles in the capital a day after a knife attack in Belfast. The attack comes at a time of heightened tensions in the UK following the murder of a student who was handcuffed by police as he lay dying from stab wounds. According to reports, his killer falsely alleged a racist attack. Translink says it hopes services can resume by tomorrow. Gold is trading at $4,147.93 an ounce. The rand is at 16.52 to the dollar, 22.15 to the pound, 19.09 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $91.38 a barrel.
In the traffic, look out for faulty traffic lights in Edenvale at Modderfontein and Van Riebeek, in Kyalami at the R55 in Kenilworth, and in the capital city in Waterkloof at January Masilela and Aramist Road.
In your sport, Thomas Tuchel tells England fans to be realistic about their 2026 FIFA World Cup chances. Kaizer Chiefs' new coach to be confirmed in due course as Aidan McCarthy secures a move to Azerbaijan. And Nick Kyrgios wins his first singles match since March 2025.
A fine Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 4 degrees, peaking at 19. Pretoria 6 and 20, and Vereeniging 6 and 19 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: a traffic officer who was present at a major drug bust in 2021 has taken the witness stand at the Madlanga Commission.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
on Sunday, 26 July. 7:02 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk unites us all in the iconic Joburg CBD.
7:02
Walk the Talk. Abize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
9 minutes past 5 on 7:02 Drive. Good to have you with us. Coming up on the show in the next half an hour, we've got a conversation with EWN's Lindsay Dentlinger. The Section 89 Impeachment Committee down in Parliament have been working on the rules that they would follow as they went about their business. There's an update, though, because National Assembly Speaker Togo Didiza would have these rules presented to her. Her reaction with Lindsay Dentlinger coming up shortly. And then we're going to Mexico City. Well, we're not going to Mexico City, but we're going to Robert Marawa, who is in Mexico City as we get closer and closer. One more sleep before Bafana take on Mexico in the opening game of the 2026 World Cup. Robert joining us from the Mexican capital at about 20 past, make it 5 o'clock. Just by the way, on one of the issues that we canvassed yesterday, the barring of Omar Artan, the Somali referee from the United States. He was meant to referee. Very interesting post from somebody called Olivia Troy, who is an American politician who used to work as a national security official in the White House. This is what she says. As someone who's worked on national security vetting, the Trump admin barring Somali referee Omar Artan entry to the US for the World Cup leads to more questions than answers. Omar was vetted, approved, and issued a visa. Then he landed in the United States and was suddenly deemed a national security threat. So which is it? Either the system failed or someone changed the rules after the fact. That, she says, is not how serious national security decisions should be made. Very interesting indeed. A couple of you commenting on the interview we had a little bit earlier with Mzwandile Molo. The Reverend Molo is the General Secretary of the South African Council of Churches, the SACC, weighing in on the issues around illegal and undocumented migration. A couple of you are responding to that. If you missed the interview, go to primemediaplus.com.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. On this thing of U.S. refusing visas for people, Indonesia was stripped of the 2023 Under-20 World Cup hosting because they were opposed to Israeli team visiting. Why can't FIFA have them, those ones, to actually say, you know what, forget it, US, we are moving all your matches to Canada or Mexico? Yeah, I would like to hear what people would say about this. Jimmy Midro.
Hi, John. It's Dudu here. I beg to differ with or agree partly with the Reverend there. His definition of Ubuntu, or the scenario he's painting about how we were raised, he's referring it from a point of abundance. Now there's scarce resources. So how do you now apply Ubuntu when you yourself don't have enough to share?
John, good afternoon. This is Amos Carl from Captain Park. Regarding the migration, very often I hear when we've got speakers or whoever is trying to address it, they don't look at the issue of illegal migration. They talk about migration in general, but the problem is illegal. Illegal means what? So if it can be addressed accordingly, it shouldn't be problem. Illegal migration, not all migration. Illegal migration.
Yeah, I do have to say, though, a close listen to what Reverend Molo was saying absolutely made very clear their position around questions of legality and illegality. Have another listen. You'll pick it up on primemediaplus.com. A different perspective from Joseph, who sends us this message. For the first time as an Uber driver, I've been harassed by 2 South African women just because I'm from Malawi. They told me while I was driving them to their destination that I should leave their country. I felt so useless over myself. My British English accent ignited everything. Oh my gosh, Joseph says, I am so down. 7:02 drive, it's 14 minutes past 5.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Right, let's get the very latest news from out on the roads. Khumotso Munya keeping an eye on things. Eldorado Park is a problem.
Yes.
This EW in traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand.
EWN Traffic.
Thank you, John. We will start in Eldorado Park, all the way in the south of Johannesburg. Traffic is at a crawl there on the N12 West. This is from the Golden Highway, so a little bit of patience as you head into that direction. Over in the east of Johannesburg, if you are leaving Sandton, you can expect heavy delays on the N3 South. It is from the Batlu interchange all the way to Gluli's interchange. In Boksburg, traffic is heavily backed up on the N17 East. This is from Rondebelt Road to Berry Murray's Road. And lastly, if you are heading towards Sandton, there's queuing traffic on the M1 North. This is from Caller Drive to Woodmead Drive. If you come across any other traffic on your side, you're more than welcome to send us a WhatsApp voice note on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen get the traffic flowing smoothly because when you're late for gym class, you're rushed, so you skip the warm-up and, well, you know how that goes. Fortunately, with the Outsurance pointsmen easing the traffic congestion for the past 20 years, everyone can get where they need to be quickly and safely. Just another way you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using hashtag pointsmenlove. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
At least 12 people have been shot dead and 9 others injured in Cleveland on the East Rand. Police say the attack happened before midnight at the Jumpers informal settlement. Officers responding to the scene found multiple victims with gunshot wounds. Gauteng police spokesperson Dimakatso Nebuwuli says the cause of the attack is being investigated.
It is alleged that more than 10 suspects were dropped off by a white Toyota Quantum near a petrol station in Cleveland. The suspects allegedly entered the informal settlement, opening fire on residents and community members.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
What if the problem you face became the business that changed everything? That's what Nedbank Business Ignite on 702 is all about, with this year's theme, My Pain, My Purpose, My Solution. We're calling on small businesses that turned real challenges into powerful ideas. You could win 200,000 Rand in cash, plus mentorship, business support, and tools to help you grow sustainably. Enter the Nedbank Business Ignite on 702, now at primemediaplus.com or igniteyourbusiness.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
You know when your people are giving their best, not because they're pushed or pressured, but because they feel supported. And support is making sure they're covered. So if something happens, they can get the care they need. FlexiCare Health Insurance makes it simple for every business to protect their people with affordable health cover. You care, we cover. For a tailored FlexiCare quote, speak to your financial advisor today. FlexiCare is underwritten by ANG, a licensed non-life insurer and FSP, and administered by Discovery Health, a licensed FSP.
Mzansi, Akwele asked, and you chose. The brand new, delicious mango sparkling flavor is here. And now, it's time to win. Aquila is giving away grocery vouchers and airtime every day. Plus, you could win one of 2 Suzuki Swift cars. To enter, get your Aquila Mzansi Mango in store and find the unique code under the cap. Sunshine, joy, and refreshment in a bottle. That's the new Aquila Mzansi Mango. T's and C's apply.
I'm Samela Kelpoy, an actress and a mum. Do you know what's in your cupboard? I've been trying to be intentional about the food I buy and keep in my cupboard. Unhealthy packaged foods can lead to hypertension, heart disease, and diabetes. Support front of package warning labels on unhealthy packaged foods, high in saturated fat, sugar, and salt. Join me. Sign the petition on heala.org. That's HEALA.org.
Hey besties, DJ Zinhle here. Did you know that when you buy any 4 Knorr soups, you could win your share of R500,000 Rand? Just WhatsApp your till slip to 087 265 1280 and make it Knorr with Knorr. T's and C's apply.
I feel like this year's 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is going to be special. We're taking over Johannesburg, and I think this is the one people are going to be talking about in years to come. You should absolutely take part in this year's Walk the Talk. It feels as if it is a moment. If you have heard anything about this year's 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, you are going to have such FOMO. You are going to miss out. I'll be working on the day, but I'll also be enjoying interacting with so many 702 ladders. I've often thought I'll do 5 and then I end up doing 8, or I think I'll do 8 and then I end up doing 15 kilometers. For me, it's going to be about the vibe, it's going to be about the experience, it's going to be about Josie. To enter 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, go to Prime Media Plus. Make a date with us Sunday, 26th July. See you there.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 20 past 5. In about 20 minutes' time or so, we're going to spend some time listening to music. Hopefully, your music selections. Now, when you have weddings, there's always that song that you just know has to be part of every wedding. Could it be this song, or is there another one that is your absolute must when people are getting married? Try this. Malika with Destiny. We're getting lots of other suggestions. I'm looking forward to playing them a little bit later, but I bet you haven't contributed yet. Go on, tell us. A wedding is not complete without... Fill in the blank when it comes to songs. 072 702 1702.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Right, let's go down to Parliament now. All eyes, or many eyes at least, are on the committee that is going to manage the Section 89 impeachment process. If you need reminding, this is all in relation to the conduct of President Cyril Ramaphosa following the theft of US dollars from his Pala farm. Quite fierce debates going on in that committee, as I understand it. They've got to put together the rules of engagement. I don't know if that's quite the correct term, but Lindsay Dentling, our EWN colleague, has been keeping a close eye on this. Lindsay, what's happened so far? I understand there are differing views on key issues. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Well, let me start by what we thought was going to happen today, which was that this Rules Committee would adopt these amended, as you've put it, rules of engagement for how the impeachment committee will operate, and then it will be put before the National Assembly before either tomorrow or on Friday for it to adopt these as amended rules of Parliament, and the impeachment committee then can get on their way. But what turned out today was a fierce debate, primarily on two sticking points. The first of those that dominated discussions for well on 2 hours is a proposal that the DA had made about a week or two ago, that criteria be established for which MPs would be considered suitable, fit and proper, is the term used, to serve on this committee. And this largely arises because of the MK party nominating their parliamentary leader, John Hlophe, a former impeached judge, impeached by Parliament, to serve on this committee. But this is where the political parties don't all agree. The MK party saying, while they don't disagree on principle for such a criteria to be established, that a lot more work would need to be done to come up with a definition to determine who is a fit and proper MP. And then there is also this matter that the Constitution doesn't actually exclude or preclude a person from being an MP on such a ground. So presumably, if they are in Parliament, they are considered fit and proper to deal with the business of Parliament. And so that has been a major sticking point today, and Speaker Toka Didiza has now sent political parties back to the drawing board to sort this out.
So, Lindsay, what do we know about the lines of division around this issue? Do they mirror perhaps other lines of division that could then play themselves out as the committee goes about its business, or are these positions on ethics and morality that existed before the committee was even a thing?
Well, the ANC, the DA, the Freedom Front Plus, Action SA was not in the GNU, so we can't really argue that this is a GNU versus a so-called progressive caucus matter. And as I said, even the MKPs, Mzwaneli Mani, say, well, we don't disagree on principle that someone on such a committee should be fit and proper. But I think where the division really comes is political parties not wanting to stall this matter. They don't want this particular criteria to be inserted if it's going to delay proceedings from getting off the ground. And then concerns even raised by the Speaker herself. She was saying that if such criteria were inserted in the rules, who would apply them? Who would make the decision on who is a fit and proper person? So a lot of debate around this. Parliament's legal opinion advises that if such a rule were to be considered, that it actually be put out to public opinion. And that doesn't happen very regularly. The Parliament is allowed to come up with its own rules, whether they now, we've seen in this very matter that they get found wanting in the court.
Yes.
Be that as it may, they have the right to come up with whatever rules they want. It's not unheard of. In 2016, there was a public a process to debate some of the House rules, but political parties are not all agreeing with Parliament's own legal advice that to insert a rule like this should probably be put to public input because the Constitution doesn't make this kind of delineation. So it's very confusing and very convoluted, and whether they now are going to be able to come to an agreement, I think is going to be quite difficult because, as I say, parties like the MKP, the EFF, the ATM, saying that this is not necessary to insert at this particular time and more work needs to go into it, but they want the impeachment proceedings to carry on.
And presumably, Lindsay, there must be a voice somewhere saying, listen, we could get incredibly bogged down in this issue and the next issue and the next. I mean, are there voices in sufficient number starting to say, listen, at some point, rubber's got to hit the road?
Yes, well, some of the political parties are regularly trying to push the Speaker to explain whether, by still working on these rules, whether it precludes the impeachment committee from carrying on with their work. We know that there's a tentative date, week after next, for this committee to sit to consider matters related to evidence, leaders, and the rest of it. So obviously the appetite for proceedings or for work to get off the ground is very, very high. And I think from both sides, but I think some political parties want to err on the side of caution, the ANC included, saying that we already have a court judgment just last year involving former Judge Hlophe, involving his representation as an MP on the JSE, and we cannot exclude, we won't name names, some political parties are very litigious, and they could just, we could find ourselves back in court to say this particular person has already been determined by a court not to be fit and proper to represent Parliament in one arm of the state. And here we go again by nominating the same person in this committee. So we can't also rule out that that it could be stalled by political parties themselves by once again going to the court.
Sure, complicated stuff, but I guess that was always predictable. Lindsay Dentlinger, thank you, EWN reporter, with an update on the attempts by the Section 89 Impeachment Committee to actually get going. 28 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Right, let's catch up with what's happened on the markets so far today. Of course, they're still trading in the United States, and there's a money show to come with all of those details. Moteo Juaripe, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Honesty, best policy for SPAR. They told shareholders today that group net debt increased to 7.3 billion rand. Headline earnings per share, the profit measure here in South Africa, down 53%. And that honesty got some trade here on the market, up 5% today, even with that mixed bag of results. Group revenue from continuing operations at SPAR increased by 3.6% to 67 billion rand for the 26 weeks to March. Now, the gross profit margin was at 10.5%, so the company doing well on one end, but also losing out on the other, and that's because they've had some very funny operations in Europe and letting go of businesses in Switzerland and the UK. But their share price today up more than 5.8%. But in terms of economic activity in the country, that Pay Inc. economic index showing that economic activity and transactions have slowed in the past 6 months. So that's not a good number. Later on the Money Show, we'll be talking to independent economist Elise Kruger about those numbers and how she feels the SA economy will look towards the rest of the year. Then looking on the markets, pain on the markets, the all share down 1,536 points. Industrials were flat today. Banking stocks down by more than 0.5%, but it was the mining shares that pulled down the rest of the JSE, down 3.9%. Coronation down 8%. African Rainbow Minerals down 8.5%. Northam down 5%. Anglo Gold down 5.4%. Platinum producer Valterra also down 4.8% this afternoon. Good wins for British American Tobacco. They were up more than 2%. ShopRite up 1.4% as markets closed. AB InBev up more than 1%, with Premier Foods up more than 1%. The rand at this hour, 16 rand 51 against the US dollar, 19.07 against the euro, and 22 rand 12 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,125 an ounce. Platinum $1,692 an ounce, down 2% at this hour, with Brent crude up 2% at $93 a barrel. We'll be looking at that oil price and the markets and how they've behaved today. Some weakness in the US and Europe. Chris Stewart, portfolio manager at 91, will give us the latest with Iran and the US. Both parties walking further away from a negotiated agreement. We'll also ask the question, does the shop location matter in the age of delivery apps? That conversation with retail analyst, the finance ghost. Then the balance of combustion engines and silent electric ones in South Africa. What does the future hold for car lovers in South Africa? Prigen Naidu, head of purchasing and foreign trade at Mahle South Africa, will join us for that conversation. Our consumer ninja, Wendy Nola, of course, in consumer issues and fighting for your rights, looking at a particular case study today around the F&B lounge charges catching clients off guard. We'll be talking about those prices while at the airport. That's with our consumer ninja, Wendy Nola, after 7 o'clock. Then in our shapeshifter today, we'll have Zindle Tikwe, who'll be telling us about the industry that is the Consumer Goods Council of South Africa. All that and more on The Money Show.
Thanks, Moteo. Great stuff between 6 and 8. 28 minutes now to 6 o'clock. The latest eyewitness news. Here's Mbali Dlamini.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The Western Cape High Court has reserved judgment in a case against Home Affairs over a massive birth registration backlog. The Legal Resources Centre has asked the court for a supervisory order compelling the department to submit a plan to address the issue. The extent of the problem is also under dispute, with opposing parties claiming the backlog is either at 240,000 or 33,000. Reporter Camry Clark was in court.
Counsel for Home Affairs has asked the court to refer the matter back to the department, citing the principle of the separation of powers. However, a lawyer for the UCT Children's Institute has argued years of delay now warrant judicial intervention. The courts heard how children have faced delayed access to education, an inability to access social grants, and in one case, an adoption that could not be finalized without a birth certificate. Here are some of the voices of applicants who wanted to remain anonymous.
The reason I don't have an ID is because my mother doesn't even
even have a birth certificate. But now we can see the impacts that it has caused us. I'm literally stuck.
Where would I be if I did get the birth certificates? I would have had my hair salon.
The applicants have pointed to administrative failures, a lack of engagement and the absence of a recovery plan as some of the reasons for the legal action. Camray Clark, Eyewitness News at the Western Cape High Court.
Mineral Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe has warned the fuel sector against illegal fuel price hikes and fuel tampering. Mantashe says the practices are eroding consumer trust and damaging the industry's reputation. He has been addressing the Fossil Industry Association of South Africa's Imbizo in Sandton today. Mantashe says government remains concerned about incidents where some fuel operators increased prices before official fuel price adjustments took effect. Dimakato Leshoro has more.
Gwede Mantashe's comments come on the back of growing concerns over illegal tampering with diesel, including the mixing of diesel with paraffin to boost profits. Diesel prices are largely deregulated, creating opportunities for some suppliers to withhold stock ahead of expected price increases or charge excessive prices to maximize profits. Mantashe says the practice is criminal, harms businesses and consumers, damages vehicles and equipment, and poses a risk to the economy. One wholesaler attending the fuel industry in Imbizo, Tepo Fagude, agrees.
It does affect us because if we do provide diesel that's contaminated, then it gives us a bad reputation as a company.
Mantashe says government is working with law enforcement agencies to combat the illegal trade. Dimakato Leshoro, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
And government is reviewing its automotive policy in an attempt to address the global shift towards electric and hybrid vehicles. The plan is to add to the country's incentive program minerals used in the production of electric vehicle batteries. The revisions are intended to align the program with the South African Automotive Master Plan of 2035. Anelita Fandese reports.
As global demand shifts toward electric and hybrid vehicles, South Africa is attempting to get ahead by expanding incentives to minerals critical for EV battery production. While addressing the global shift, government also aims to boost local EV output, saying the materials will need to be sourced in the region for producers to qualify for incentives. The standard materials list will now include materials such as rare earths, iron, lithium, and copper. The move aligns with the South African Automotive Master Plan 2035, aimed at raising vehicle output, deepening localization, and supporting the transition to electric mobility. The proposed amendments are open for public comment for the next 4 weeks. Anelita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
A fine Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 4 and 6 degrees and highs of between 19 and 20.
In the traffic in Pretoria, Hermanstad, you can expect slight delays on Eskempahlele Drive between Moot Street and Vermeulen, and in Edenvale, traffic is sluggish on the R24 West from Edenvale Road to the Galulis interchange.
The top story in EWN, the Western Cape High Court has reserved judgment in a case against Home Affairs over a massive birth registration backlog.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
So how do all these institutional role players actually work together to just ensure that they stay independent fiduciaries of those large sums of money that they manage?
The institutional investor, and once again, if we continue with the example, yourself as the host of the event has an event planner. The event planner obviously knows now where to go. Within that particular restaurant as well, you have in the background what we call the chefs. So portfolio managers at the asset management space. And each of those portfolio managers are able to build these meals that are relevant to exactly what you're looking for. You also have individuals such as myself who are client fund managers. We in essence act as the waiters, conduits between yourself as the diner as well as the chef in the background.
Client fund manager, Stanlib Asset Management.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Josie, my Josie Walk the Talk is calling on you to walk with the people for the people on Sunday, 26 July. Babize Bonke. And this year you can choose from 3 different inner city routes. The 8K 44 Main Street route takes you from Ellis Park through Maboneng and Jewel City, past the Field of Dreams and the Maharishi Invincibility Institute. You then go through the Main Street precinct, Gandhi Square, and past the Carlton Centre, finishing off at Ellis Park. So whether you're taking on the 8K, 5K or 15-kilometer route. Enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
The XXL Savings Championship is here, and with Checkers, everyone can save. Get deals like Coca-Cola Original Taste Less Sugar Soft Drink 1.5 litres, 3 for 49 Rand. Cape Point Frozen Platter Prawns 700 grams for 159.99, and Baby Soft 2-ply toilet rolls 9 per pack. Buy any 2 and get a third free. Save 97 Rand. Valid until 14 June, only at Checkers.
Hi, it's Harold with Netflix Father's Day Hotline. Nicole on the line.
Harold, I think my dad went into hiding ever since I bought him the leggings for Father's Day.
Leggings? Leggings for men? Ach no, Nicole, the man's trying to disappear before his circulation does. You put him in a tight spot down there.
I know. How are we going to make now?
Well, maybe start with something loose, something personalised like a gorgeous gown from Net Florist before the leggings reveal more than his personality, hey? The first 1,000 orders get a free box of lint chockies. Net Florist, that's easy to show you care.
You've taken your small business far. Nedbank and 702 can help you take it even further.
How important is it that a campaign like Nedbank Business Ignite recognizes not only entrepreneurs but people who solve problems?
It is important because being an entrepreneur can be a lonely journey. You go through a lot of challenges, and when you do have those victories, there's no one to recognize you. This competition definitely does that. And what we're doing differently this year, we actually decided to touch base with our past winners to find out what they've done since winning the competition. I mean, my mind was blown in terms of what these guys have achieved.
Nedbank Business Ignite with 702. Enter now on primemediaplus.com or igniteyourbusiness.co.za and you could win 200,000 Rand. T's and C's apply. See money differently. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. South Africans are not being xenophobic. We just want the leaders basically to take responsibility for their people migrating into the country. In other words, our leaders should ensure that their counterparts from other countries are actually doing the right thing when it comes to their citizenry, so that they don't have to come into this country, because no one wants to leave their own country and run all over the world for no good reason. But they don't have a choice because of the conditions in those countries. So they need to take responsibility for their own lives in their country so that we can build our country, because we are a new democracy, we are a new nation, and we are still trying to figure ourselves out. That's my view on the matter. Thanks. Bye.
Hi, John. Great show as always. Wayne here from Centurion. I'd like to weigh in on the topic of migration. I think it's quite disappointing for South Africans to want South Africans to be put first. A lot of countries actually put their citizens first. Well, their citizens' needs first, above all else. So, speaking on the premise that Ubuntu means the country is free for all, the scarce resources are free for all, I think we need to relook at what is our understanding of Ubuntu, because if the cost of Ubuntu is then the deprivation of the very basic needs being met of South Africans, then I think, yeah, our model of Ubuntu is very skewed. Thank you.
On the N12.
Ndate John, I think the Honorable Mfundisi is misleading us. The principle of Ubuntu applies to those who understand it and who practice it. You do not just practice Ubuntu where you are going to end up being disadvantaged. There is no way you can have Ubuntu applied to a drug dealer who poisons and kills your kids. It does not work that way. That's how we lost our land in the first place. It doesn't. It only works where you have the like-minded people who were raised and who understand the implications of their actions. You cannot just extend it to each and every person who doesn't have or share the same value system that you have. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the last caller. I think the point you make in broad terms is a very interesting and important one, saying that you've got to have shared value systems. The example you give, extending it to a drug dealer, I don't think Reverend Mzwandile Molo was saying anything like that at all. But thank you for all those contributions, all of them responding to the General Secretary of the South African Council of Churches. If you missed the interview, and I thought it was a really interesting one, please go to primemediaplus.com, have a listen to the whole interview, please, and hear the detail of what the Reverend was saying. You don't have to agree with it, but at least listen to everything he said. I think that's important. 702 Drive, it's 16 minutes now to 6.
EWN Sport.
Okay, Thomas Tuchel, England manager, has plenty to say ahead of the World Cup. Tola Keller, what is he saying? Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. Well, he's lowered expectations around England before the start of the tournament, saying his team are contenders and not the favourites for the trophy. Bukayo Saka is the only injury concern for the Three Lions ahead of their opener against Croatia next week, and that's due to an Achilles problem.
No, we're not the top favorites. We can't be because we haven't won it for so many years. There are like proven winners in the tournament with more success in recent tournaments. So these are the favorites and we compete for the trophy. Dream big and we know what it takes. If you dream big, comes with responsibility, is on the effort. So this is where the focus is. We want to compete. We see ourselves as competitors, as challengers.
Claude Leroy will return to the helm of another African national team after being named as the new coach of the Republic of Congo. It'll be the 78-year-old's 12th continental appointment and a second stint with the Congolese, where he was coach from 2013 until 2015. It's his first job in 5 years, and it follows stints as coach of teams including Cameroon and Senegal. Switching over to the Betway Premiership, where Kaizer Chiefs marketing director Jessica Mtaung has revealed that coach and player movements will be announced in due course. That's after they launched the latest edition of the Toyota Cup. Amakosi will be facing Zimbabwean League champion Scotland FC on the 26th of July. As for who will be in charge, it's not yet known. That's after they opted against extending the contracts of interim co-coaches Cedric Kaze and Khalil Ben Youssef. They'll also need to shore up their defense, with Aidan McCarthy set to join Azerbaijan-based Sabah FK.
All those plans will be announced in the next few weeks. Everybody will be able to settle with all the anticipation that they have. But certainly the Toyota Cup is one of those things that allow us to showcase all the changes, to showcase a new kit, and just show that the team is ready for the next season.
Nick Kyrgios has kick-started his latest comeback with a straight sets win over Corentin Moutet in the first round of an ATP event in Stuttgart. The Australian hasn't played in a singles match since appearing at the Brisbane International in January. That's where he lost in 66 minutes. Having missed the entire 2024 season, he's won just one singles match since October 2022. And Spain's Motorland Aragon will become a MotoGP reserve circuit from 2028. That's after hosting a race in 2027 under a new agreement with the regional government. Aragon is scheduled to stage a Grand Prix in August and will remain part of MotoGP structure as an official backup venue until 2031. That allows it to step in if another race is unable to go ahead. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 13 minutes to 6, traffic jams out in Eldorado Park with an update on that and everything else you need to know from out on the roads. Khumoso Munyai one more time.
Thank you, John. We will start in Pretoria this afternoon in Hermanstad. You can expect some slight delays on Eskempahlele Drive between Moot Street and Vomhagen. Over in the city of Ekurhuleni in Edenvale, traffic is sluggish on the R24 West. This is from Edenvale Road to the Galulis interchange. The N3 South remains a little bit busy as you head towards the Galulis interchange from the Blue interchange. And over on the to the south of Johannesburg, the N12 West through Eldorado Park remains under pressure as well, with delays from the Golden Highway. A look at those faulty traffic lights in Kyalami at the R55 in Kenilworth, in Rand Park Ridge at the N1 North and Beyers Naudé, as well as in Four Ways at Monte Cassino and Winnie Mandela Drive. I'll have more updates at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This Youth Month, 702 Drive with John Perlman
Commemorates the youth of 1976.
Let's walk the talk.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
702 Drive. So we've been asking you, please, for South African songs that you absolutely have to have at a wedding. We're getting some great suggestions. We've been getting the conversation going by sharing a little bit of Malaika and this song. So we'll play you a little bit more because we've just been giving you a slightly tantalizing snippet. And then after that, we'll get straight into all your suggestions. Oh, 072 702 1702, that wedding song that just has to be there. As important as the couple getting married themselves. It's 10 to 6.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
These visa restrictions, we saw our best referee from the continent being told, no, sorry, you can't come in. CAF, as far as I know, have said nothing about it, and neither have FIFA. I mean, we always thought FIFA, when you host their tournament, they come and take over. It doesn't seem to be the case this time.
And he was going to be the first referee from his country to officiate at a World Cup.
Well, it also depends which country you're from. I mean, we've heard of fans from countries like Scotland battling in terms of visas. Ticket prices has been an issue. Travel costs has been another. Do you get the sense that maybe once the football starts, things could get exciting, but that generally most people, most fans around the world have a wait-and-see attitude?
Yeah, I mean, I think a part of it, yes, but for now it's not there. It's been quite a hollow build-up to the World Cup, I must say.
Let's hope it's not a hollow tournament. Yanga Sibemba, sports journalist.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
The groundbreaking musical, Nkodi, A Fierce and Fabulous Life, returns to the UJ Theatre on the Kingsway campus in Auckland Park this weekend. Nkodi celebrates the life of Simon Nkodi, who was an anti-apartheid activist, LGBTQIA plus pioneer, AIDS activist, and organizer of Joburg's first Pride March. Nkodi explodes on this stage, combining voguing, dance, rap, and video projections. It's the powerful story of a remarkable young freedom fighter who changed South African history. There are 3 performances only this weekend of Nkodi. It takes place at the UJ Theatre before it heads to Germany for its European premiere. Nkodi tickets are available now on Quicket.
Tired of seeing the same tiles everywhere you look? Charm Decor is where you'll find something different. We curate high-quality imported tiles and mosaics that transform your space into something truly special. Design-led collections, easy online shopping, and samples delivered straight to you, so you can choose with confidence. Trusted by interior designers, architects, and home renovators. Discover tiles that inspire. Charm Decor. Visit charmdecor.co.za and order your samples today.
If you're a fan of the beautiful game, you'll recognize this. And this. But what about this? It's your chance to score big time. Win your share of up to 2 million rand with Standard Bank. It's game day every day. To enter, open and use any qualifying Standard Bank account, in-app or in branch. Already a Standard Bank customer? Sign up for Standard Bank Connect online to get a bonus entry. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. My favorite wedding song is Homo by Jonas Kwangwa. The track is called Homo. Jonas Kwangwa. It's a perfect wedding song. I played it a long time ago in my wedding. Thank you, sir. Enjoy your day.
Jonas Kwangwa, Homo, played it at my wedding myself. It is an absolute classic, whether there's a wedding going on or not. Great South African wedding songs. Let's have a few more.
Good afternoon, Uncle John. Songs that can be played in a wedding. Songs that should be played in a wedding. I have a lot of them, but most of them are from the previous generations, like the example that you played for us. So I feel like in the future generation, one that would be good for weddings would be the song Mina Nawe by Goon Flavor and Master KG. It just screams wedding. It screams joy. It screams happy vibes. It's just nice. Thank you.
Good evening, John. It cannot be a wedding without Brenda Fassie's Vulindlela. And anyway, the song Vulindlela is about a wedding. Kabelin, Pretoria.
Brenda Fassie with Vulindlela. Tumelo says the wedding is not complete without Be There by DJ Ganyani. What else have we got? Got some more of your voice notes. I just want to check the texts and make sure that there are some great songs that make sure we don't miss any of your great suggestions.
Hi 702 fam. Hi 702 fam. A wedding is not complete without Mafigi Zolo. Ndihamba nawe. It's a banger.
Yeah, great stuff there. Wedding songs, South African wedding songs. Mafigi Zolo there with Ndihamba Nawe. More of your suggestions coming up.
Evening, Mr. John Perlman. My answer to your question today as to which song do we play, it's going to have to be the classical one. It's going to be Twang, 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 Liboneng. If you don't play that song, you will be reminded by one of the elders. But that is the one that you play And once that song is played, it's daytime now for everyone to go home. So that's the last song that you play at the wedding. Good evening, Mr. Charlton, and always good show. Thank you, John.
That version there by Vusi Mahlasela. You said it's time to go home when you heard that. The first time I heard that song, that's when the couple walked in, when that song started playing. One more.
Afternoon, Team 702. Yeah, look, there's so many beautiful songs, but the two come to the top of my mind immediately is the Kaifa song, I think it's called, by AKA, and the other one is Fairy Tale by Liquid Deep. Thanks, have a great evening.
Sweetheart, we were a team, we still are. You know, may not be romantically involved, but there's still that bond that keeps us together somehow. So no matter how things turn out, just let me get this off my chest.
Liquid Deep bringing to an end today's edition of 702 Drive. I'm John Perlman. Have yourselves a great Wednesday night. Good night.
Issues, but darling, I do miss you, and I love to be more than friends.
And now, The Money Show
with Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app
and DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA Rewards. Get double cash back when an African team scores and wins at the FIFA World Cup 2026, courtesy of Visa. T's and C's apply. Tonight on The Money Show, we'll be looking at transactions, talking about Visa there. South Africa's economic activity slowing in the past 6 months. We'll be talking to Elise Kruger, independent economist, about just what is putting so many consumer households under pressure. And are South Africans being sold less safe cars? Bobby Ramakwe, the CEO of Automobile Association of South Africa, will give us the latest ratings on some of South Africa's favorite wheels. Then later on, we look at market commentary. Some US inflation came out today, but a lot of dampened weakness on the JSE. Chris Stewart, portfolio manager at 91, will dice through the markets with us later on The Money Show. Then, does store location still matter in the age of delivery apps? We'll be looking at South Africa's retail sector, looking at brick and mortar stores versus those delivery apps. Finance Ghost, the retail analyst, will be joining us for that conversation. Later on the show, we have our consumer ninja, Wendy Nola, looking at some of the consumer issues of late. And we're going to be looking at those airport lounge excess charges, something F&B customers have been complaining about. Wendy Nola will give us our rights when it comes to that. Then our shapeshifter for tonight here on The Money Show is Zintle Kigwe, looking at the CEO of the Consumer Goods Council of South Africa. All that and more on The Money Show after 6. But for now, your Eyewitness News.
Good evening, I'm Maki Malapo. A traffic officer who was present at a major drug bust in 2021 is set to continue his testimony at the Madlanga Commission tomorrow. Former Gauteng Traffic Police's Deputy Chief Samuel Mashaba began his testimony this afternoon, where he furnished commissioners his professional background. Over the past few weeks, the commission has heard evidence suggesting Mashaba was on the scene of the bust in the south of Johannesburg, where more than 700 kilograms of an informant tracked the major cocaine shipment from Durban to Johannesburg after receiving a tip-off. Alpha Ramushana has more.
In July 2021, Chief Samuel Mashaba received a tip-off about a massive drug consignment that was intercepted in Ayrton, south of Johannesburg. The Madanga Commission has previously heard conflicting testimony over whether a traffic officer had any jurisdiction to be present at the scene of a major drug bust. Some witnesses have told the Commission that after handing over the scene to the relevant authorities, Mashaba had no reason to interfere with operations. Mashaba had requested to testify partly in camera today, citing health concerns, but the application was dismissed by the Commission.
It sounds to us that you can speak and you speak well, I would say, based on what we heard during your application. For those very brief reasons, we refuse the application.
Mashaba is expected to present evidence on the botched Ayrton drug bust. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
Mineral and Petroleum Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe says his department is moving to build a 60-day strategic crude oil and fuel stockpiles to deal with growing concerns over geopolitical instability and the country's dependence on imported fuel products. Speaking at the inaugural fossil industry Imbizo in Sandton, Mantashe warned that South Africa remains vulnerable because of its reliance on imports. This comes as the tensions in the Middle East have seen the price of Brent crude hover around the $100 per barrel mark for extended period, leaving consumers vulnerable to price shocks. Dimakazo Leshoro has more.
Gwede Mantashe says government is also pushing to accelerate oil and gas exploration, including offshore drilling and shale gas development to strengthen the country's energy and economic security. He's called for the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and